Welcome, everybody. Hit that like.
Gee, I wish we had one of them doomsday machines.
I'm funny how? I mean funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you? I make you laugh? What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
Sorry, I farted.
Call me Snake.
Heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your Michigan gave us Motown.
And you know, when you say per capita, there's many per capitas. It's like per capita relative to what? A lot of very bad things are happening in Nicaragua.
They're not allowed to be offensive, unfortunately.
Groovy. Groovy.
Throw me a frickin' bone here. I'm the boss. Guy talk!
Looks like I picked the wrong week to put amphetamines in.
Come on.
Knife, knife, not drilling the knife.
Subscribe. Come on, people. Before they suspend habeas corpus. It might be your last chance. All right, I'm almost ready to start. We got enough likes? Do we have enough likes? Do you guys deserve me yet? Come on now. I think so. I think so. What's going on? How you doing? Welcome to House Sparks Megaworldwide. I'm probably a little off the beat because there's a slight delay in my headphones. I just don't want you to think that I can't dance. Trust me, just grab this video later and then do like this much of a shift and I'll be nailing it. Just wish I could do it live. No. Welcome, chat room. Hi everybody. Hit that like, share the show, annoy the maggot in your life. And by the way, I want to say thank you and welcome again to all the trolls we've had lately. It was a while where we had a dip in the trolls. You know, they were out, I guess they were hungover from the election and then they started hiding because Trump was shitting the bed so hard. And now they're back out there trying to like, you know, reinvigorate their rage boner by, you know, I don't know, filling the other side's chat rooms with claptrap. I don't know what does it for them. I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum, but I appreciate them being here and spreading us out into the algorithm. When they write stuff in the chat, I got to tell you, as long as they're not, you know, racially or, you know, I guess sexist, bigoted anyway, as long as they keep their language to they're big kid words, and steer clear of obvious bigoted language. We're okay. They can have stupid ideas. Just watch how you say them here. That's all we ask. If you can. I mean, I do understand. Look, I've been asking a lot of these folks for quite some time, and between the two of us, we both know a lot of them are just stupid. They're just stupid, and they don't have any big kid words. They just live in this kind of like in this perpetual dunk fest that they wish existed in the real world, but it's only online, so they hide behind their burner accounts and piss into the wind. But look, again, if that's your idea of a good time, I guess it beats a sharp stick in the eye. So good for you guys, and best of luck, because you're doing awesome. Nothing. I mean, the number of clips I have right now of people going, I thought this would be going better, is pretty fucking spectacular, I have to say. Okay. I think we even have a double up. I don't pre-watch these clips most of the time. There are occasional things, but apparently, according to CSL, some of these are double ups, like clips that I didn't have time to watch in a previous episode, and other people on the right or the right adjacent or the fucking ultra psycho right, which would, I guess, be Jimmy Dore in that crowd. They're watching it, and so we get to kind of double up the idiocy. It's like when, when Greg Kelly tells a personal story. It's twice as funny because it happened to him and it's pathetic, and he's telling it again. Greg, keep it to your fucking self, buddy. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm a big fan of oversharing, but damn, dude. So, now how you're saying, okay, I don't even know where to start with this. Because I mean, I guess it rests on, where's my little pointer? This is, I'm in this kind of a mood.
Man, I'm tired of being right.
There is a real shift in right-wing media right now between, I mean, the turd polishing is they are committed to it, and it is proceeding apace. However, there's only so much you can do before you go, I've got shit all over me, It's kind of like, well, no, I'm not going to say it. Anyways, here's a great example. This is somebody we don't normally cover because I think about the time I was going to cover him, the right attacked him from his own flank about some bullshit with the Daily Wire and all that nonsense. And that kind of like internet on internet troll bullshit, I find amusing, but when obviously you guys know I have my beef with TYT, but it's not a personal thing. I don't give a fuck. I don't like anybody over there. The irony that Anna Kasparian has probably in flip-flopping on her shit, she has suddenly taken positions that I've expressed before, and she's getting slammed by going right-wing or something, and when she's just marginally centrist on a couple of these things. But beyond that, she was shitty to me about the same feeling she has right now. There's other stuff she's gone off the deep end on, but general stuff, in her shift, she's realized she was full of shit or selling a bill of goods. And in her waking up to that, it isn't so much that she went against her own viewers, is that she was critical of a lot of other people for having those beliefs, and now she's like, duh! And you're like, okay, fuck you. So there's that kind of shit, right? But I don't know these people, and I don't care. I care about how it impacts voting. That's all I give a shit about, because I view TYT as an anti-democracy entity, that their whole goal is to diminish the Democratic vote, to mute the Democratic response by always claiming the Democrats are worse than they are, and all but a couple of members of the Republican Party are relatively harmless comparatively. That's the strategy. It has worked several times. It's a scam. These guys are actively involved in this. I used to think TYT believed what they say they believe. Now I absolutely do not. Now I know it's always been a sales pitch, and they don't give a fuck about anything they have purported to believe. Otherwise, you would take the real progress that comes to you and never let anything go, because these are real lives at stake. So, yeah. Anyways. Words are very unnecessary. I say it's only too much. So let's, I'll give you an example. So this is Stephen Chowderhead over here, who, if I'm not mistaken, has the exact same voice as Fred from Scooby-Doo. Now that I've said it, you will never be able to unhear it. This is a video and look, you'll see what I mean in the title. That's not what we voted for. Grading Pam Bondi and Kash Patel's performance so far. Does that sound to you like? It sounds to me like, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're just tired of winning. Maybe that's what it is. They're just exhausted. It's so much winning they can barely keep up. Pam and Kash are just doing awesome with that whole, I don't know what the fuck they're doing that's different from what the fucking FBI and the DOJ is supposed to do normally and has been doing normally, right? They're announcing big, like, drug busts. That's great. That also means there's more drugs coming in now that Trump is president, even though the border is allegedly closed. We'll get to that bullshit about that in a second, because there is one of these things. You know how those situations are where somebody says something and they don't realize they're saying the inverse at the same time? They're admitting to being more of a fuck up. Pam Bondi's like big fentanyl bust, when the border is fucking closed. It's never been more closed, right? That's the thing. We've never had this little traffic at the border. Well, then, if all this fentanyl is coming across the southern border, then how in the goddamn do you have the biggest fentanyl bust after the border is shut down? I mean, even just the collective nature of the volume of people crossing it. I'm starting to believe, like a lot of other people, that you are full of shit about the fentanyl crossing the southern border, and it does come through ports, mostly American citizens or people with visas or whatever, sneaking it in through on boats and shit like that. And it's not about the southern border or the Canadian border at fucking all. Okay? Not at all. Did anybody else point that out when she was showing off that big fucking bust? Did anybody else point out the fact, like, if all this shit's coming across the southern border, why is the biggest amount of it you've ever caught come across? Dear God, what must be making it through? So anyways, let's just take it as, Occam's razor, logic, Marcus Aurelius, what is the thing in and of itself? There's obviously more fentanyl coming into the country now that Trump is president. Change my mind. All right. Anyways, check this shit out, okay? I'm fairly certain this opens because they do this thing that everybody does now. It's very fancy, CSL. We should look into it. Where they take a clip from the end and say, oh, wait till the end because it's awesome. And you put it at the beginning and then it says coming up and then it keeps you watching beyond the boring shit or the blather you're used to seeing. Maybe it'll work for us too. It's like magic. So check this shit out. By the way, hit the like, subscribe, etc.
He said, I believe he hung himself in a cell. Are you shitting me?
What'd I fucking say? What did I say? What'd I tell you guys? Uh-oh. Wait a second. I'm starting to think Trump doesn't want people to look into the Epstein files. I can't imagine why. Oh, yeah.
Are you shitting me?
I did not jump back. He says it twice. All right. Yes, by the way, they are shitting you. They are bullshitting you. You are being bullshitted by Donald Trump and his lackeys.
Am I the only one who's beyond livid?
No. No, you're not. The rest of them are just still fucking turd polishing right now, I guess.
That's my first time seeing that. Am I the only one? Am I the
You just watched I guess they played the Cash Patel clip for him.
one who says that's a different person from the Cash Patel who appeared on Nick DiPaolo's show? That's a different person, the guy who appeared before Glenn Beck.
No, it's not. It isn't. It is not. It's the same fucking guy. So, either he's full of shit now or he's full of shit then, but either way, if they're contradictory and he's not mentioning it in any way, he's full of shit across the board. And therefore, is he really shitting you, or are you just eating shit? Maybe that's what it is, Stephen Chowderhead. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe you're a shit eater for the Trump administration. Maybe you're just waking up to the fact that you are completely like face barreled into Trump's butt cheeks so deeply that your ears and eyes are covered in shit and cheek, and you can't even recognize the cognitive dissonance you have between the fact that Donald Trump was president when Epstein was arrested, a president when Epstein died, president when the fucking raids happened, and then all of a sudden the fucking videos or whatever files they found just poof, fucking vanish. And then he hires a bunch of people like, we're going to get after this right away. And then they don't. And you're like, what could be the connective tissue that ties? I can't think of a good reason why Trump wouldn't want this shit to come out immediately.
The DOJ. Look, this is something, there have been some developments here with the DOJ. And you know, where we covered all the confirmation hearings there was one notable exception, Pam Bondi.
Because you didn't want a shit talker while they were happening. So again, you were working your best pravda. You were trying to do your cleanup for the Trump administration. You were trying to help get stuff across the line, but you couldn't bring yourself to actively bullshit your audience because you didn't want it to blow back on you and you were scared, and I guess chicks, right? So you didn't cover hers because you would have had to speak out about it.
Guess why? But Pete Hegseth, we covered it. DOD, Marco Rubio, State Department. That one we covered briefly. It went through pretty quickly.
Yeah.
RFK, right? HHS. It's been, pretty solid. Doesn't mean you agree with everyone there.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Yeah, in for a penny, in for a pound. There's no variation in Trump world. You either suck it up to Trump or you don't.
Covered Pam Bondi. And there's a reason for that. And I've always tried, when you have inside baseball, if it's not my place, I try to not get into it, but just comment on what is publicly available and tell you why I may be hesitant. Or
Jesus Christ. Here's why. Because you're a fucking propagandist. That you and Hamas Abi and all those crowd, who have, you're just in the sales business. You're selling this bullshit. That's why. Because you just told us you might have had some inside information about why you should be against her, but you kept your fucking trap shut because you either thought you were in a protection racket for Trump, or you thought it would be unpopular with your crowd.
Be distrustful. And we have been...
By the way, you recognize the rusty trombone comment thing? That's where he got it from. They all do this, do this forced comment below shit.
Doing this for a long time before.
This is just to drive a certain amount of activity in their videos so that they boost them. Now, it works, obviously. I'm not going to tell you to do that. And I'm certainly not going to build a fucking graphic. It's fucking cheesy.
To this DOJ report card with Pam Bondi, it's not new. Because I have my reservations about Pam Bondi.
Because women should stay home and make babies.
And that is not to say that she is not doing her best job. That is not to say that I know definitively. But I saw some things that gave me pause. It's not to say that I dislike.
Like what?
AG Bondi. That's not what I'm saying.
No, I love her. I just think she's a danger to the country and won't do what we're saying, and she'll happily cover for Ghislaine Maxwell. What are you talking about?
But there's a distinct lack of organization or a lack of concern for being honest. Pam Bondi seems to be more interested in the limelight than in doing the job.
Jesus Christ. So she's the perfect Trump pick.
So since becoming AG, she's made at least 7 appearances on Fox News.
Yeah, turd polishing, covering for the fact that the Epstein stuff isn't coming, trying to tamp down a fucking mutiny.
Like the ones that you just saw. Let's compare that to Kash Patel. I believe that Kash Patel,
who basically fucking disappeared. And then when he reappeared, you're like, who the fuck is this guy?
some people thought he would be like a dog chasing a car, wouldn't know what he would do when he caught it. No. I believe that this guy eats, sleeps, and breathes deconstructing the FBI and reforming it. I'm not seeing
oh, what a difference a month makes.
That from Pam Bondi. And we haven't been seeing that these last couple of weeks. And I'll be honest, we're not seeing enough of that from Kash Patel. So,
well, I guess so. Your beliefs were off base, based on shit. I guess shit. They would be based on shit. Your beliefs about him were based on shit.
I hope things are going on behind the scenes, and I know. So tell me where you guys line up if you think, okay, these folks deserve more time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They deserve a lot more time. Yeah. They'll get to it. Why are you rushing them? Just because they said day one. Just said it was their main priority. Just said it because they said it was the only thing that mattered to them. Just because Kash Patel was going to put a lock on the FBI door and shut the whole fucking building down and destroy it from within immediately. And now he's like, the people, the men and women in the field are doing great work, and these are patriots that all the same shit Chris Wray said. Suddenly you get in the job and you're like, oh, fuck. I had no idea these guys bust their ass as much. I had no idea that the last time 2 FBI agents were gunned down in the line of duty, it was in Florida chasing down a pedophile. Gee, why? What Florida and pedophiles? Why does that remind me of something? Jesus.
And we can't have unrealistic expectations. I understand that argument.
What's unrealistic? Fuck are you talking about? Why would it be unrealistic that Pam Bondi wouldn't bait and switch you with the fucking Epstein binders? That they wouldn't just re-release stuff in a bad photocopied form, where even the stuff that was unredacted was harder to read than the stuff that you can find basically on any website with the shit already posted on it. Why is that too high a fucking standard? Oh, I know. Because Trump's in charge now, and nothing can ever be his fault.
I'll also say this. We're going to go through the good, and there has been a lot of good.
There has. There's been a lot of good. So much good.
We're going to go through the bad. But it's a real problem when you campaign on the reason that you have this job. And I know these people.
Whoa, they're so close. They're all so fucking close. They're this fucking close.
Are appointed. They're not, but they did campaign. They were all appearing on different shows saying, hey, we are going to fundamentally dismantle and root out the corruption of these 3-letter agencies because faith in them is at an all-time low, right?
Yeah, but not because of anything they did, but because of Trump's attacks on them. And before Trump came around, people didn't attack the FBI like this ever since, I guess, the fucking civil rights era, when since they've really focused their efforts on like gun runners and serial killers and human trafficking and shit like that, which is their fucking main job, and anti-terrorist stuff. And so they've been pretty good until Trump decided to turn his supporters on them, thereby lowering their support by 20 points or some shit like that. But it isn't because they did anything fucking wrong. The FBI's been doing their fucking job every goddamn day in spite of this shit. Trump turned him on it because he's fucking guilty. He's a fucking crook. And crooks hate the cops. They always do. And white-collar crooks hate the fucking FBI. They always will. That's what this is about. And his own followers will just suck up to him anyway. They'll turn on the FBI, even though these are people who are risking their fucking lives every goddamn day to support this fucking second-generation Bone Spurs asshole in his mission to gut the U.S. government because they're There's too many useless eaters sucking off the tit of Medicaid, and we gotta separate the wheat from the chaff or something.
Why these people were put in. Nothing really seems to happen on that front, but then you're saying, hey, look, these agencies, there's a drug bust. They're doing exactly what they have been doing this whole time. Sure, that's good too, but that's not what you said you were going to do.
Yeah, I know. I know. Chat room, come on. This is fucking sweet. And by the way, he's not wrong in any of this. Like I mean, the only missing part is the concept, the possibility that he could be being lied to. Like he can't or won't fucking go there. I mean, I don't think if you run an organization like Crowder's Show and you can organize a lot of this stuff, he's a piece of shit to his ex-wife and all that kind of stuff. He's gross, but he's at least capable of some logical reasoning. So you can see this kind of like he's butting up against like what his beliefs that he shows the world will allow him to talk about. I don't know what his internal beliefs are. Nobody could. Right? Yes, you want to see the aha moment. That's exactly right. And you're right, Nerd Halen does rock. So saith I. But watch this.
Primary reason that people supported you and that you're in there was to actually deal with the corruption of the agency itself.
Right.
If there is any, there's also that possibility. There could be a possibility that Peter Strzok and Page, you know, they were talking back and forth, but they didn't actually have a conspiracy to undermine Trump. They just fucking hated him because he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein for a quarter century. He was a fucking crook. He's a failed businessman and a showboat and a dickhead and a pussy-grabbing second-generation rich kid who has bankrupted like casinos and 6 other businesses. And so maybe they're like, fuck, we got to stop this guy. But there wasn't like a text chain within the FBI like, right, guys? It was just a few people. And when you went looking for the corruption, you didn't fucking find any. That's the problem. You're also assuming that the story they told you about this broad-based corruption actually exists. It's like the fucking deep state. Oh my God, yeah, Hegseth's gonna go in there and root out the deep state at the Pentagon. Who'd he end up firing? 5 guys he brought in himself. His own people. His buddies. Former Fox News morning show guests that he had on. People that helped him fucking steal money from a vet's charity. That's who he brought in. And that's who he bounced. He didn't find the deep state. He brought the deep state with him. What the fuck do you think Doge is?
And whether you think they need more time?
Yeah. Yeah, if they just do more of this for longer, it'll get better.
Yes, but it's bad optics to go out, act like none of that happened.
That's right. That's what it is. That's a good point. It's bad optics. That's what it's not that it is bad. It's that it looks bad.
Isn't this good? Look, the FBI is doing what the FBI does. It's like, yeah, we want you to stop what the FBI does and start, in other words, don't look out with the FBI. Your job was to go, FBI!
Really? That's the job? Where are you going to yell, FBI, get on the ground to other FBI agents?
Your job was not to go, hey, DOJ, your job was to go, I see you, DOJ, and we're not seeing that. That's my frustration. I think that's most of you. Let's go through the good first, though, because I don't want to be a pessimist. So it's good. 205 child sex offenders were arrested over a 5-day bust, and that included school leaders, some members of law enforcement.
Okay, they do this all the time. There's a guy in Florida who he's a sheriff down there who, because of the Florida sunshine laws, talks about who they bust all the fucking time. And by the way, do they think this is new? Is it a bunch of Democratic cabal people? Did they kick in the door on a fucking eyes wide shut party where they were all eating baby milkshakes?
Already
drinking baby milkshakes. I'm not up on how the Eyes Wide Shut crowd consumes baby. I should know it better, obviously, but I guess I would know more about it if Kash Patel would release the documents on it, but for some reason he's holding it back, and I can't figure out why.
Sex offenders.
That should be the first one.
Yeah, you know, I almost
in DC too.
What?
Said it was only in DC too. Who knew?
Only in DC. I would have just to be clear, and I'm no professional. I would have started by looking at the currently registered sex offenders.
Yes,
that would have been my first place to look.
Well, then you would have gotten a bunch of like people that were busted before the Romeo and Juliet laws that were dating somebody, 6 years apart instead of 4 years apart, high school to college, that kind of thing. Oftentimes, besides that, that's what they often do. If there's been a crime, that's the first place they look. Has this motherfucker ever seen an episode of SVU, for fuck's sake, much less FBI?
There was the largest fentanyl bust in DEA history.
Right. So the border is closed. How did a shipment this big get into the fucking country? Golly.
Go.
Okay.
Good job.
400 kilograms. That's like 200 million lethal doses if you add it up.
Yes, that's where Pam Bondi said they saved 200 million people. 242 million people, whatever.
This administration, they've been going after some criminal judges. That's a good thing. You had Luis Cano, right, who hid Venezuelan, the TDA gang members
He's an ex-judge, sure. I mean, that's technically, other people have hid gang members in. This guy was just an ex-judge. It's the only reason it made the news. But they didn't not go after this asshole because he was a judge. Also, I want to say was that in Texas? I mean, the other one was obviously the Wisconsin case. But hold on. Justice Department announces 2 cases involving judicial misconduct. Okay, also, I thought it was every fucking where. Hold on. How many judges in the U.S.? Just curious. There are approximately, let's see. There are 816 active federal judges. There are, judges, and there are around 30,000 state judges. Both of these are state judges. So out of 30,000 judges in this total, misconduct review, 2. Fucking 2. Let's see. Federal courts have nearly 1,770 judgeships. And then there's several secondary ones and all that kind of stuff. So, great. So, 30,000 judges. That's why people are like, I appointed over 300 judges and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so of the federal judges, you're talking about somewhere between 816 of the First Circuit, Ninth Circuit, and then from First Circuit up, there's like 1,700. Something like that. And you found 2. Congratulations. And also, former ex-judge of Donna Ana County, charged with evidence tampering, and Milwaukee County. Okay, that's the woman who got busted for helping the dude. And then this one, immigration abuses. The cases against 2 judges aren't that. Well, it doesn't really. I don't know why you would include that. Don't conflate these well-founded criminal charges with the many valid and pressing criticisms of Trump administration on immigration. Both of these judges crossed the line, and both criminal charges are justified, even if the judge is exceedingly unlikely to be convicted, and we'll discuss in a moment. So this is New York Magazine. So they're not. This article isn't even saying that the 2 judges that were busted have anything to do with Trump's, the people who've ruled against Trump. Good Lord. Try harder.
In their home. This person destroyed a gang member's phone to cover evidence. There's the judge, Hannah Dugan, remember, helped that illegal sneak out of the courtroom to avoid ICE and made a big show of it. So that's good.
Yeah, out of 32,000 judges in the country, you found 2 county judges, and boom. I don't know why Pam Bondi doesn't just fucking take a vacation with Ted Cruz to Mexico. Just put your fucking feet up.
Neither of these cases would seem relevant if you lived in what the mainstream news media has been referring to. Remember food deserts? Now they say that in 2025 there are still people who don't have access to smartphones, so they refer to them as not food deserts but news deserts, and they've been remedying it with their own town crier.
Okay, he does a sketch of some shit to like this business, whatever. Okay, so that's their news desert joke. And then they pitched something, whatever, I guess.
You heard me says, like, are you doing what you're not supposed to be looking out with these departments. You're supposed to be looking in. Just let's take their words for it.
Also, no, you're not. You're supposed to be running them effectively because they were created by an act of Congress and they've got a mandate to do something. Even if you want to root some folks out, you still have to do the job at hand. And arguably, with all this fucking, egotistical make America great again blather, you should be doing it 10 times better than anybody else.
People like Bondi and Patel, and I will say I separate Bondi from the rest of them because of
she's a woman.
The bungles, I guess, to use a term that have taken place with Bondi. But hey, why are they in office? What kind of promises did they make?
I will fight every day to restore confidence and integrity to the Department of Justice and each.
I love that she's Pamela Joe. I didn't realize it was Pamela Joe Bondi for the people.
Its components.
I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one.
What is that? What is that? Yep, that's bullshit. That's shit. That's just someone shitting.
Reopening the next day as a museum of the deep state.
Are we going to fix it? Absolutely. Is it going to take a while? Not as long as people think.
Well, that's under direct control of the director of the FBI. Just like the manifesto from the Nashville school shooting of the Catholic school. We still haven't seen that, right? On day one, roll out the black book. And not just that. On day one.
Day fucking one. I don't know what the complaint is. This is 2023. This is ancient history. He was a young man. You make a lot of mistakes when you're that young.
Roll out all of the text messaging communications we were told were deleted. On day one, play the rest of the video of the pipe bomber.
That all sounded great.
Yeah, I can imagine it would. If you were stupid and actually believed him.
That's why people supported you.
Day one.
Which brings us to the bad, okay? And
boy, the good didn't last very long, did it?
We do have a new clip, which we'll run a little bit later. Where's the accountability for the...
Accountability. Yeah. I don't know. Does anybody know? No? Anybody know where the account... I left it in my other pants, I think. Where's the accountability?
Lawfare.
Yeah.
Right? So on February 5th, Bondi established the weaponization working group to investigate those behind the Donald Trump lawfare. That was a big deal, right?
It was a big deal. And they were going to have a whole conference, and we're all going to sit together, and we're all going to get in a room, and we're going to put our cards on the table, and everybody would take notes, and we're going to set up a big murder board, and then we're going to figure out who did who to what, and we're going to go after the bad actors in the situation. And if we go in there and we don't find anything... Fentanyl bust. Look at all the drugs. We found these largely in Don Jr.'s cabin.
Lawfare, the vilifying him as a criminal, the going after him to try and render the people's president ineligible, which you can judge a country by the level of corruption in their institutions. That's really what's...
Sure, and I would think that if there was a ton of it, and it was like, oh shit, America has changed, we have so much corruption, that the Pam Bondis and the Cash Patels of the world would have an easy fucking job rolling through here. You'd just be like, poop. It's almost like Doge. I'm starting to think they're full of shit too. They're $2 trillion of waste, fraud, and abuse. 150 billion, and it was just programs you cut. Or that Obama and Biden had cut, and it was just part of programs where they find waste, fraud, and abuse. You were just wanting credit for laws that were passed in fucking 2013. Could be that. It could be that when they went to look, they were lying that there was all this corruption. It's kind of like, why aren't they rounding up all these millions of illegals everywhere? Maybe because they're ineffective and stupid, or maybe because they're doing the bidding of the agricultural billionaires and and they need those workers, so they're letting them slip by, or maybe they're not fucking here. Maybe the number that Trump sold on the fucking stump is a lie and always was, and that the number never passed 13 million no matter what, and they were always punting people back out. Maybe you can't find them because you ain't got them. And if you want to go after millions of people, you're going to end up sending babies with cancer and married parents and people who've been working in hospitality for 13 years. You're not going to find this stampede of fucking murderers. Maybe it ain't there. Maybe you're asking too much of these people. You're asking them to find gold in a toilet.
Separates us from banana republics and third world nations. And this was the worst corruption that we have absolutely seen in our lifetime. So this was...
Well, the problem is you haven't absolutely seen it. You were convinced of it, not the same thing. And again, I will leave it on why hasn't Kash Patel taken the Hunter Biden laptop that they allegedly have in their custody, right? They allegedly have it. Give it to the cybercrimes group and say, pull all the data off this you can possibly get and give us a timeline of when that stuff is so we can authenticate what's actually on that hard drive. Not the shitty double copy with a bunch of other files that Rudy Giuliani was selling all over town. The actual one from the actual device. Do that. Well, I mean, that's a day one thing, right? They have a lab there. You could actually go and do that. That's like 2 memos. And it's already funded. That would already be part of their purview. Just hand it over to them. Why aren't you? Because you know what you'll find.
You can check the references. Link in the description as every show. 3 months later, no update at all.
3 months later, no update. Well, it could be them. It could be. Or it could be you. It could be that your expectations were based on a bill of goods you were sold by these assholes and the fabricated idea that you've been centering your entire life around for the past 7 years. And eventually you're kind of coming to the realization that it was all bullshit. That is, in general, the situation you find yourself in. Hold on, I think... where is that? Yeah.
That was just bullshit, Joel.
So the drug bust, hey, that's great. But is that what you were hoping for? Or...
Well, I got to say, I'm glad they're still doing that part of the job. As a Democrat, I'm glad that they at least feel like they have to pay, do real work just as window dressing anyways. Because you can't exactly sell that you're making America great again and all that kind of stuff if this shit gets in here, if a terrorist attack happens and all that. So I'm counting on them to stop these things, not because they give a shit, but out of self-interest. So, hey, I'll take victories however they come.
You're hoping for someone to get to the bottom of the lawfare against the man who you chose as president. What about January 6th?
I don't know. You let out a bunch of cop beaters and mixed them in with a bunch of dipshit trespassers who stole things and tried to sell them to Russia, and you didn't make a distinction. Oh, by the way, I think the bigger question is, did Trump sign all of those pardons personally, or did he use AutoPen? Because if he used AutoPen, I would say that they're not worth the paper they're printed on, and I would say those people should go right back to jail according to the standards set forth by you guys.
We still don't know anything about the FBI instigators in the crowd. Who was...
They weren't FBI... Here's what you know. There weren't any. There were informers. People who believed in the cause, believed in Donald Trump, and on the day were like, yeah, fuck this. And then as soon as these assholes breached those bike fence barriers and started beating up cops, they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. The other thing is, you don't even need the fucking... And again, instigators, like maggots are so fucking dough-headed that somebody just beat that cop. That's all they have to do is whisper in your fucking ear and you'll attack the goddamn Capitol. I would argue that's fucking worse. Sorry, but Trump's followers are so shitty that anybody walks up to him and goes, you should attack those police officers and run up in there and take a giant dump in the middle of the dome. Hey, grab that Confederate flag and bring it into the Capitol and, you know, to make something happen that hasn't happened. Hey, who wants to build a gallows? Maybe that's more of a problem. Because if they can be that easily led, maybe they shouldn't be anywhere near power. Anywhere.
Steps. Is there any accountability, restitution for the prisoners, some of whom were locked up for years for nothing more than trespassing?
Nope. Nobody was locked up for nothing more than trespassing. Nope. Tons of people trespassed on that day. Thousands. They didn't get locked up. You had to be a special case. And by saying some people got locked up for nothing more than trespassing, it's just your way of brushing past the fact that a bunch of them, the majority of those people, assaulted police officers or contributed to that assault directly. And I would argue, and I think this asshole would too, that if 6 people stormed into this studio and started knocking over gear and stuff, they wouldn't go, well, the first guy that got in here, that guy should go to jail. But everybody who's in here just kicking shit over, they're basically invitees. They were let in by the fact that the other guy kicked the fucking door in. If that's your standard, what's your home security like? If more than 2 people show up to break into your home, the other 2 can just go around your house and do whatever the fuck they want to you and your family and grab your shit and all that. Are you nuts? How does that make sense? This asshole used to wear a gun on set. Like, seriously. He literally had a gun in a holster all the fucking time. And I think it's because maybe some of the people he employs, or he was afraid they would snap or something.
Where are the, and I'm not just saying, arrest all of them, put them all, no. What I'm saying is, hey. If Joe Biden's administration had arrested around 500 people just surrounding the January 6th events alone, which we now know were largely a lie.
No, they weren't largely a lie. January 6th was not largely, we all watched it on fucking television. We all watched them create like a ramrod to push through and were crushing cops against door frames. None of that was a lie. None of it. That's just goofy. Stop it. Stop. Ashley Babbitt didn't get shot because she was like trying to stop people going through that door. She punched one of her fellow maggots so she could be through the door first and she got shot. If she hadn't done that, we wouldn't even be talking about her. We'd be talking about the other dead guy. And, I mean, maybe Greg Kelly would be able to find someone to love.
Where it would be appropriate to say what Illinois. Some people did some things, but...
Yeah, that's what it was. Some people did some things like tase a cop until he had a heart attack and steal his gun. And some people brought a gun and fired it from the scaffolding. Another guy had a fucking pickup truck full of weapons. Some people did a thing like build a fucking gallows. Hey, Ashley Babbitt did a thing. She brought a fucking knife that she intended to use on sitting members of Congress in our representative government. People who got votes.
Hundreds of thousands of people were peaceful, and even...
Yeah, none of them got arrested. Tens of thousands, not hundreds of thousands. Tens of thousands of people were peaceful. I don't give a fuck about anybody who listened to that fucking speech and walked that way. Nobody does. None of them got arrested. What are you talking about?
Many of the people who were arrested committed no felonies at all. They were involved.
Simmer.
On a walking tour. Remember QAnon Shaman? His sin was saying yes to the invite and wearing a funny hat.
Sorry, the invite? Did they mail it to him at home? Or did he step over tile stained with the blood of police officers who were assaulted that day to get in the fucking building? Did he go into the Senate and take things from there? He was in the well of the Senate. Remember that? He didn't just walk around looking at shit and then walk out the back door like a bunch of other people. He raised the gavel, said they were going to seize the fucking government. And all that leading him around, that cut footage that everybody seems to go, what? Why did Tucker Carlson release a bunch of footage that shows him walking around in different order than it happened during the day with no timeline? Why would there not be any time code on that so you could see where he went from here to here to here to here to here to here? Why, when you're creating the illusion that somehow he just walked in and a bunch of cops walked him one way and they walk him down a hallway and they go, hey man, right this way, right this way. And the reason is because they have their backs against a door where the vice president is fucking escaping. And it's not, it's lucky for the cops that this guy was a dough-headed dipshit with a sharpened flagpole that he was carrying around.
500 arrests. And now our people? 0?
Yeah, well, I don't think they found anybody who, again, tried to tase a D.C. police officer until he had a heart attack. Capitol police officer. It could be that, you know what? Look, it's hard to say. Are Pam Bondi and Kash Patel complete fuck-ups, or are they looking for something that isn't there? I mean, can't we agree that it's both?
0?
Yes, 0.
Then the Epstein. Well, that was kind of a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Day one. It'd be different if you were told, like, eventually. You were told day one.
I wasn't told day one. You were told day one.
Like, yeah, but it takes time. It's like, but you said day one. Yeah, but, we're still kind of, it's like, you said day one. Like 50 times.
Yes.
So we're more than 2 months out now. Remember from when AG Bondi hung some influencers out to dry? Some people didn't know. Here, like we talked about libs of TikTok, and then there were some influencers who were all too happy to try and pull the wool over your eyes with the Epstein binders that included less information than was already publicly available.
It's weird. It's funny. It's like, and I can't imagine why Pam Bondi would do that stunt just to distract people away from the Epstein things, considering who got her the job. I think that's that DC Drano dipshit, right? The guy with the beard. The Epstein Files, Phase 1. Sucker!
Yeah, and then you open it up and it's like, he had a plane. No shit.
Yes.
Oh, thanks. Gotcha, bitch.
It's just Dave Chappelle's face.
And now there was an update from Bondi yesterday, who I believe now that's in the dozens, if not over 100 appearances on Fox News.
Yeah.
Before you watch this clip from yesterday, it is...
By the way, I don't know why these assholes think it's a dunk on Pam Bondi to think that she's like a fame hound or something, when Trump's entire methodology, his entire campaign, his life anyways, is based on PR and bullshitting people. It's why he liked her. It's because she'll bullshit everyone with, zero reservations, like calling him El Presidente basically at all these meetings. I don't know. I just don't know why they think this is a dunk. I don't know why they think this isn't par for the course or exactly what Trump expects of his people.
Alarming as to just how much Pam Bondi's looking more and more like Michael Jackson. It's that like skull face.
What? I mean, I guess if you're looking for a lame comedy distraction, the obvious go-to is the "and Iraq girl" thing, but I don't. I think this is an eyebrow thing. Is that what this is?
Yeah, dude. Oh my gosh.
Her nose doesn't look like his. That's, it's... All right, why am I making sense of this? It's just, this is just them swinging for the fences.
Bondi!
So here she is yesterday, attempting to explain, with different reasoning, what she said with that binder rollout 2 months ago. Here's some kind of...
That, by the way, we all knew was bullshit when it happened, because Donald Trump is all over those files, and therefore they will never be fully released while Donald Trump has any power whatsoever over the process?
I guess it's an explanation. Just watch.
James Comer said yesterday that all the Epstein files are missing. Can you confirm the status of them? They still haven't heard from you.
No, the FBI, they're reviewing, there are tens of thousands of videos.
This is the part that was supposedly in the James O'Keefe video where she said to somebody in a restaurant that there are these videos of Epstein with underage kids.
Epstein with children or child porn. And there are hundreds of victims.
Wait, sorry, with him with children, or him watching that, or stuff that he had that he's not a part of, just stuff that was in his possession? And again, nobody questions whether Epstein was an evil pedophile. Fucking duh. It's always been about who else was involved. Who else in power might have been either being blackmailed by him or were willing participants or any of that. That's the information everybody's looking for. They're like, we're getting to the bottom of this. We're fairly certain we can prove that this dead guy is a very bad person. Cool.
No one victim will ever get released. It's just the volume, and that's what they're going through right now. The FBI is diligently going through that. I haven't seen that.
They already did. There was a case proceeding. They were preparing for trial. They had already gone through those things. She's lying.
But I'll call him later and find out.
For context, it's at least one. You guys let me know. I believe it's two. Since that abysmal rollout on Epstein to today, one or two people involved, victims, have since died. Suicide or something.
Right.
You know, brakes went out in the car. Something like that.
Narrowly escaped suicide just to be.
Yeah,
Stuff that happens to acquaintances of the Clintons, it seems.
Yeah, so.
No, not at all. The girl that just killed herself worked at Mar-a-Lago, was recruited by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell from there, and allegedly had sex with Prince Andrew. Fuck you and your Clinton bullshit. And again, if Clinton was involved in this, fuck him. But no, you don't get to fucking throw that out there to try and dissuade this. If Virginia Jeffrey worked at fucking Mar-a-Lago when she was 16 years old. Again, why are they hiring like young 16-year-old girls? I don't know. Same reason he lives 9 minutes away from Jeffrey Epstein every time he buys a house.
So two people have died.
Yeah.
Since that bad rollout. In other words, this isn't just.
Yeah, and Trump's president. And Trump was president when Epstein was arrested and died. Do we see just a junction point between these details, if not a direct connection?
As far as knowing, you know, for posterity's sake, but there's still. Do you honestly think that everyone involved with the, according to her, hundreds of sex slaves at Epstein Island, by the way, connected to many politically elite, including royalty, you think that
including Donald Trump? Specifically?
One involved in facilitating the child sex trafficking has since straightened up and decided to fly right?
No.
They're still out there.
Yes. They're still in the Oval.
They're addicted.
Yeah, they're still out there.
And Pam Bondi didn't just say this in her conference.
Sorry, they're addicted? So they're not responsible for their behavior. It's an addiction. It's an illness, and they're trying to fight it, these poor pedophiles, but damn, it's hard. I don't know.
Hearing. She didn't just say on day one in confirmation. She went on Fox News and said tomorrow. And then what we got tomorrow was the binders full of information that everybody already had. And in some.
Hey, man, relax. Be strong. It's going to come out, no one in the White House has any reason to hold back any of this stuff.
Cases less information because they redacted some stuff that was publicly available already.
Yeah.
And then said, I'm demanding that the FBI bring this all to my Cash Patel. You have to bring me all this stuff the next day after that because of such backlash. And then radio silence.
Yeah. So at a certain point, you have to ask, is it the people that you're complaining about or is it you? is it you're just expecting too much from these people. Your demands are too high. You're setting the bar too high for what they're even capable of presenting because their boss is all over their records.
I understand. With respect, AG Bondi, I understand that there's a lot of information for them to go through. Certainly they can go through some and release it, right? Certainly they can do it in chunks. They can say, hey, we've had 2 months. Here's at least 1 page of information.
Yeah, it's hard to find a page without Trump's name on it, though. It really is.
That we can release that we've gone through to make sure nobody is harmed that's a victim in this case, and no child pornography is being distributed by the FBI because we keep that on their computers apparently, right? Can't 1 page be out?
You know, let me just.
No, sorry, can't. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's just, look, them's the rules, and these people told you they were on day 1 they would do everything they could, and apparently day 1 they did everything they could, and then. And everything after day 1, they do everything they can't.
I'm going to make a statement here that I'm sure will piss a lot of people off. And by the way, it's the reason that many of these folks don't appear on the show.
Because you do your show in a storage unit in wherever they are. Where are they? Austin, Texas? Just like Alex?
Many people who would seem like natural fits. To be fair, I would never sandbag anybody. And
No, you never. They can still come on, even though they never would. But, I'd give them a total pass. I'm not saying I wouldn't give them a total pass on this stuff. If she was sitting here right now, we would not be talking about this. We would be talking about that fentanyl buzz like you would not fucking believe, buddy.
I, of course, support a lot of these folks, and I'm happy, and I would love to give them a platform,
Support's a good word, sure. Yeah.
Only platform that has as many of you watching live in existence.
Damn. Fuck you, Daily Wire. Crowder and his 77,000 views on this video and his 1.2 million subscribers, which is like a third of what Rusty Trombone has, right?
But you don't get that. You don't get access if you call balls and strikes. Someone like an AG Pam Bondi is worse, in my opinion, is worse for the conservative right-wing movement than anything the left could concoct.
Wow. God, that hurts. Now, that's largely because what the left usually concocts is someone who actually wants to follow the rule of law and even is, I guess, slower in pace than we would hope for, like Merrick Garland, I guess. This is not exactly a pit bull who went after people at the speed that he could have. I mean, I think he spent way too much time crossing T's and dotting I's. So, yeah, I guess. But I feel like at this point, this is your way to avoid shit-talking Cash Patel because he's a dude.
You guys understand that? That's my...
We do. We all understand. My concern is that it's bad. But is it as bad as the kidney? What the? What's happening?
The kidney has a very special place in the heart.
I've heard that. I have heard that. I'm not. I wasn't 100% sure that was true, but yeah. Do we lose all audio on that? Really? Just the darkness? Did I just live in darkness? That's just sad. Oh, during the wavy effect, everything went away? Well, that's good. It was scarier that way, I think. Hold on. Let's see. That's going to... why would that be? Let's see. I think I know why. Hold on one second. It's going to drive me crazy. Why is that not happening? Oh. I know why. I worked so hard on this too. It looks good though. Stop it. I know why. Oh, wait. Oh, there it is. Okay, you got to forgive me. We got to see if it works again this time. And oh, look at that. I was doubling up audio. That's odd. Hey. The software has to be open when it... That's so annoying. It's so sad. I think I worked so hard. Oh, something's... That's the... I'll wait till it... There it is. Is it open yet? Did it open? I don't think so. Or is it just panicking? Oh, there it is. All right. Okay. No, it just doesn't want to... Why is that? I've got to fix this later. That's annoying. Why? Where'd you go, you silly thing? Open. Middle of that, and I was very sad. Fuck you, Steven Crowder. I'm working on my show. We'll cut this out and do it later. Oh yeah, it doesn't like being open. Oh, there's two of them. That's weird. Could be.
The enemy is from within. Just think about fighting. It's like, you ever do that? When you were a kid, where you jump off the diving board or you jump off in the deep end and you see if you can swim the length of the...
Check, check, check. There we go. Ah. See, it keeps trying to reopen. What is happening here? Hold on, let me see. Control this. Options. Maybe it's the link. It's being very weird. Applications. We'll go to the wavelength thingy. Wave, why are you being such a dick? I don't even think it's a... Oh, that's why it's just gone. Show recents. What is that? No available windows. That's good. That's way better. Thanks, guys. This is how you know this is live, and I do it all by myself. I don't have like 5 dickheads behind a counter going, dude, you're so funny, boss. I mean, I'd love that. Let's see. Okay. Why would you do that? Oh, maybe I have to close the other thing first. See, yeah, it's crapping out. And then check. Yeah, okay. All right, we'll wait on it. I'm gonna, that'll be the post show tonight, is me fixing that shit.
Right, holding your breath. We always used to do that as a kid. One time I did that, and there was another guy who thought
it's a great story. I love this story.
It's funny. I might have been 8 or 9 years old. I made it for the first time from the deep end. It was a local public pool, all the way to the shallow end. It could barely, and came up, and he thought it was funny to dunk my head under, so I couldn't come up. It's one of
this explains so much.
Times where I was like, oh, this is how I go. I'm gonna die. Thankfully, his older brother beat his ass in front of me. That's how that story ends. That's what this is like.
No, it's kind of not. Unless I guess you're, so all MAGA is like you swimming there, and Pam Bondi is the kid holding your head underwater, and Cash Patel is her brother that would kick her ass, but he's not.
Fought. You went through 2020. Right here, we were suspended. We were demonetized. Diageo, 80% of the world's advertising said, hey, we're not actually going to advertise on Rumble unless you remove Stephen Kraft. And you guys, right? You went out, you canvassed, you felt like something was stolen from you. You went through COVID and you said, we're not going to let that happen again. You flipped. And now you're coming up for air because you put these people in office and they're dunking your head back under. Look at the drug busts.
That's what this is. You're having to live with just the biggest drug bust in history.
It's not what we voted for. It's important to me because I had the candidates I did have on. I said, if you will not dismantle, we're at the very
dismantle. Yes. Brilliant idea, by the way, dismantling the FBI.
Least fundamentally restructure in short order our 3-letter agencies. That for me is a close-handed issue, and you won't get my vote.
And so they chose to lie to you, and you're like, thank God, thank you for lying to me, because I'm such a gullible dipshit. I actually thought that was possible, much less a good idea.
Because there were Republicans in the primaries who were saying, and think about that too, you chose Donald Trump in no small part because during the primaries, many Republicans, in case you've forgotten, said, well, we need people to trust our institutions. We don't want to completely, most people are doing great work at the FBI and our DOJ and CIA. And you said, bullshit. I want someone who's going to do something about it.
You went, bullshit me, please bullshit me, please. When I said bullshit, I didn't mean I was calling you bullshit. I was saying it was a request for bullshit. Please bullshit me. Please tell me what the fuck I want to hear. Level 2 hype train. Thank you guys on Twitch.
And I want the guy who was persecuted through political lawfare. I want him in. So not retribution, so there can be justice.
Yes, for Jeffrey Epstein, who totally killed himself in jail, and he should have been allowed to live and make it to trial. And no one is more hurt by that than Donald John Trump.
We don't become a banana republic. That was a big issue, right? The biggest issue nationally was immigration, the economy. But you comment below. If you're an actual conservative.
Yeah, throw a comment in there. Please save us from ourselves.
If that wasn't the top issue, it was top 3.
Jesus Christ. Is this the business model now that you have to do online? Comment below to let me know. Jesus Christ.
You fought, you scraped, you clawed.
Up your, and what happened? You ended up with your head up your own ass. That's what happened. Congratulations. You played yourself.
Whew. Thank you, Doc. You ever serve time?
Held your breath and you went all in and someone's dunking your head back under. That to me is more damaging to what because where's the hope? You want to go through all the...
Where is the hope? That's what I've been wondering, too. That's what I'm wondering as well, and you guys have been wondering. We all been wondering, where's the hope?
Again, if you think it's another Bondi. So yeah, we're not going to have a lot of these people in the inner circle as guests because them's fighting words.
Yeah. I mean, they were totally going to come on before like they did before, but now they're definitely not. Because, boy, if I'm not going to sandbag anybody, but if they come on, I mean, I will. If they would come on, I'd totally kiss their ass. But I'm not going to. Now that I know they're not going to come on, you got to draw a line somewhere. You're not welcome, okay? You can't fire me. I quit.
Fine with it. Report card. I give Bondi an F. Everyone else, I give a, remains to be seen.
Incomplete, I think is what they call it.
And we also have a new clip, by the way. I guess this is
Kash Patel talking to Senator Kennedy, right? And talking specifically about the Epstein files.
Yes. A new clip, ladies and gentlemen. This is when they do that little shuffle at the thing that they give you a little teaser at the beginning. This is the moment where he and I guess this guy's had to have seen this video already. They're not just going to post it sight unseen, I'm guessing.
Today?
I believe it's today.
This is from today. Yes.
Okay.
Did Jeffrey Epstein hang himself or did somebody kill him?
Senator, I believe he hung himself in a cell in the Metropolitan Detention Center.
Are you going to release all the information about that?
Senator, we are working through that right now with the Department of Justice.
When do you think you'll have it done, Cash?
I think in the near future, sir.
Wow.
What? Like before I die?
Senator, we've been working on that, and we're doing it in a way that protects.
Oh, this is so you can just feel them all just like turtling in the background. You could just the dick shrivel across that entire crowd.
Victims, and also doesn't put out into the ether.
The victims. Okay, there's only two possible victims. One would be Jeffrey Epstein, the fucking dead guy, or the victims would be everyone else on the planet because he didn't really die and he actually escaped and they swapped his body for somebody else, and then they did a fucking DNA swap because he spent $1 billion coming up with a carcass that looked like him, and they just they filled it with his blood so that they could draw on it. It'd be inconclusive, but it was basically him. The chances of being somebody else with the blood draw, that they tipped the fucking pathologist to not take skin samples for the DNA, but take actual blood because that's a billionaire escape plan. Whereas everyone else in the world are the victims because this guy's free, I guess. These would be the two options. Or I guess there's another victim would be everybody else in the world because Trump had him killed while he was president in the United States to cover his own ass because he was actually in charge of the government and his people were in charge of the Department of Justice and the FBI at that time.
Information that is irrelevant for production of the public, such as CSAM.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Quick, mission control. Get to me. I guarantee you it won't take you long. I can't do it right now. That Kash Patel at one point made it clear he did not believe that Epstein killed himself. Get that for me here, and we can run that. Hey, what changed? Enlightenment? Hey, if that's the case, you have to believe that the FBI is so beyond any type of corruptibility that they educated Kash Patel.
Or you could believe that he actually saw the evidence firsthand, which because it was an open case and all that kind of stuff, unless you have that kind of access, you're outside the government like you are, like I am. You're talking shit until you absolutely know. You can only speak to what the available information that you actually have. And then turns out you were wrong. Now, again, Kash Patel was friends with Trump, and Trump, again, he could have drawn all of his conclusions about how Epstein died in that prison cell from the fact that Trump knew people who knew the truth. Which, if it's not, he hung himself, then who's hiding that truth? Then Kash Patel was operating on this information that he allegedly got from people who knew, and they're not talking because of who their boss is.
But now, hey, it's very clear. Epstein killed himself. Or something's off. People are...
Gee, what could that be? Could it be possible that Trump was Jeffrey Epstein's best fucking friend, and then he lied about breaking ties with him, and then they used to party together all the time, and not only did he fly on Epstein's plane, Epstein flew on his with an underage girl in front of a fucking reporter.
compromised. It's one thing to say it takes time. It's another for the guy saying, going to turn it into a museum, to say, no, the main talking point that the majority of Americans, Democrats and Republicans, do not believe. Yeah, that's still the talking point. He hung himself. No foul play. Has nothing to do with the length of time. If he said, if his only answer there, sorry, now I'm done with this guy. If his only answer there was,
that didn't take long. That didn't take long. All right. On the fucking, I don't know where else you go, but shit.
Hey, you know what?
You know what?
I have to be very careful with the information, especially in today's news climate, to make sure that we aim once and aim right. But we are going to be releasing all of this, and the answer will leave no doubt. I just can't give that to you right now because of
because damn, son.
Sensitivities. Hey, got it. It takes time. He didn't say that.
You're right. He did not. And there's basically two possibilities here. Really, it isn't multiple choice here. It's either that's what fucking happened and now he knows, or he's joined the cabal for one of those sweet, sweet baby adrenochrome life-extending milkshakes that only the elites get a taste of. And you never will, Crowder.
He said, I believe he hung himself in a cell. Are you shitting me? Are you shitting me?
Yeah, yes, he is. Or he was before, and isn't now, or is now and wasn't before, whatever. Anyways, but I don't know. You were saying you have shit all over you. What? Go ahead.
Am I the only one who's beyond livid?
No.
My first time seeing that. Am I the only one? Am I the only one who says that's a different person from the Cash Patel who appeared on Nick DiPaolo's show?
No, it's actually the same guy. Same guy. Yeah.
Different person, the guy who appeared before Glenn Beck.
Oh, I see. So he's a clone. That's probably what it is. We should have been listening to QAnon all along. They made a Cash Patel clone. You can tell because this one doesn't have googly eyes.
That is a different man.
Nope. Same fucker.
Why?
Because he works for Donald Trump and Donald Trump is all over those files. And if it's the last thing he does, he's going to stop as much of that coming out in his lifetime as he possibly can. And if you think the Kennedy files were buried deep, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Why?
Because Donald Trump was Jeffrey Epstein's best friend for 25 fucking years, and his only friend before that was Roy Cohn. Both men admit to having sex with minors. I mean, it's a good, if you're asking why, that's a solid answer.
And just to be clear, leftist media, those of you watching right now, they will say, oh, see, here you go. Conservatives not willing to accept the truth. That's why they're more damaging. Huh? Because they're allowing the left to set the narrative. Do you think you're crazy?
Also, I don't, call me the left or the right, whatever you want. Since horseshoe theory has turned into a snake emblem, two snakes facing each other, but they are one. There's an element of, they use left as a pejorative, so whatever. Just straight up as a Democrat, I will tell you this. I'm not, well, let's see what his assertion in this circumstance is before I answer what I think his charge will be about how that's why Cash Patel is terrible, because he allows the left to weaponize this talking point. Instead of Cash Patel shows the world what hypocrites and liars you guys are and what a sycophant you are to have bought this line of bullshit when Donald Trump was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein for a quarter fucking century. And the question I will ask you, Steven Crowder, any of the other dickheads on your panel, how long would it have taken you to figure out that Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile? Less than a decade, I would hope. Less than 2 decades. Perhaps just short of 25 years. One would hope. You would go, God, this is fucking hinky. Every time I see this guy, he can't have this many nieces. He doesn't have any brothers and sisters. So where the fuck, that I know of, where the fuck are all these kids coming from? This is some Warren Jeffries shit.
Why?
So Warren Jeffers, I don't care.
And just to be clear, leftist media, those of you watching right now, they will say, oh, see, here you go. Conservatives not willing to accept the truth. That's why they're more damaging.
Yeah, we're not going, oh, you're not willing to accept the truth about Epstein hanging himself. I think a lot of people are still on the fence about the myriad of possibilities could be there. I would argue that this White House has more of an impetus to hide what actually happened to Jeffrey Epstein than any other White House that could ever exist. Because it's his buddy.
Because they're allowing the left to set the narrative.
He's pointing right at me. I feel seen.
Do you think you're crazy?
Crazy like a fox. Oh.
Think you're crazy because you don't believe that Jeffrey Epstein hung himself in a cell?
The left doesn't believe that.
The left doesn't believe it, but
they don't? What do they think happened?
The left will make you out to be crazy. They'll make you out to be an extremist. And you know what they will use as Exhibit A? Even Cash Patel.
No. We bypassed this talking point entirely and went to, why would you expect the truth from Cash Patel? He works for Donald Trump, who was friends with Jeffrey Epstein for a quarter century. This has nothing to do with whether he fucking killed himself or not. That's incidental to the entire conspiracy that is obviously going on here. If Pam Bondi and Cash Patel are looking at files that involve all of the cases against Donald Trump and his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and the flight logs that they have and all the investigation that's gone on in the New York's FBI office or in the Florida FBI office, if they put all that shit together, there is no fucking way that they're not spending their time looking at Donald Trump's name with a big fucking black marker in their hand.
Knows how crazy it is.
That's one thing that the country came together on.
Yeah.
That's one thing everyone goes, yeah, there's no way he killed himself.
Because Donald Trump was his buddy and they were in it together, and he could, if anybody could spill the beans on Donald Trump, it would be him, and Donald Trump is president and in charge of the entire justice system in the United States. And you mean because of that reason?
He was killed. Why don't we trust your institutions?
Not Patel.
Why do we trust our institutions? I don't know, especially when Donald Trump is the head of said institution.
He breaks ranks with you on that. Man who's the head of the FBI thinks you're nuts.
No, I don't think he thinks you're nuts. I think he thinks he's got a job to do, and it's not working for you, it's working for Donald Trump. It's about Donald Trump's nuts that are currently on Steven Crowder's forehead, and he has zero complaints about that.
If you believe that Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself, or at least you weren't given the whole story, he just said, no, the whole story's legitimate. Cash Patel, your guy, is he still your guy? He's not my guy. Not my guy.
He was your guy. He was your guy at the beginning of this fucking clip, dum-dum.
Mr. Patel, but you are welcome to come on this show. Just come on this show for what it is. I bet you won't.
I bet you won't come on this show because why would you? Again, what are you just said you're not going to sandbag him. So even if he did show up and he said, well, we're working on it as best we can and I know it's an issue, shut the fuck up. So there's a lot of this going around, okay? Now, you'll hear the left as a pejorative in our next clip as well. By the way, hit the like, share the show, etc., etc. I was not expecting to spend as much time on that video as I did, but there's so much insanity in that shit. It's stunning. No one would. Sam Cedar will, though. Well, Sam Cedar went on via Ethan's show or something. Ethan Klein, that show, right? Didn't he jump in when they were having a debate? And that was the whole thing, that Crowder thought he was being, blindsided by Cedar being there because he's better with the facts than Ethan was. So he brought in a pinch hitter to debate him because he wouldn't debate Sam and that was kind of stuff. And again, this is that interpersonal web shit that I find annoying and very Bravo network, if you know what I mean. But even still, he couldn't stand up to that, and good on Sam for doing it. Jesus. Okay, so let's go to one of our old friends, Woody Plankfest himself, dear old Ben Shapiro, or as we call him, Jesse Waters. If you threw him in a dryer and put him on tumble, on high heat, and he shrunk. This is him going after Kilmar Abrego Garcia. The left's new hero is a human smuggler. Now, the video that came out of him that they're using, everyone, is him driving everybody to a job site. They don't have bags. They don't in the car and that kind of stuff, which people who are smuggling often do. They have all of their belongings with them. He was driving a group of people to a job site. Now, were they undocumented workers working at a job site? Probably. But were they being smuggled across the border? No. Not in this case. And they're like, 9 people in a fucking car in this big, like, SUV station wagony thing. There's a bunch of people in this fucking car and none of them have any luggage. Yeah. If they did have luggage, that would be the curious part. But they didn't. So and he was like, we're all going to work, which is exactly where they were going. But anyways, this is, let's see how long Ben can be totally supportive of Donald Trump's new policies.
Meanwhile, information continues to emerge about Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the hero of the left who has visited.
Again, being for the rule of law and being for due process has nothing to do with the individual. These assholes will say this stuff about free speech all the time. I disagree with you, what you have to say, but I will fight to the death to make sure you have the right to say it. And yet when you do that about due process, they're like, what are you up in arms about? When actually free speech is one thing, being, this illusion that everybody was being shut up because you lost your fucking Twitter handle is not the same thing as losing your freedom of speech, especially when the government didn't do it. But in this particular case, this man has been extrajudicially removed from the United States and isn't getting his hearing after he had previously had a hearing and they put a hold on his deportation. He had the hearing. He had due process. And the result of that due process was keep him fucking here until we get a full review. And they broomed him during that period of time because I think they're afraid that he would be allowed to stay because he's got 3 American children and a wife, and he would have a case for, being on a parolee on a path to citizenship.
A Nashville sitting United States Senator, supposed victim of the Trump administration. Now,
supposed. I'm sorry, did somebody else drop him in an El Salvadoran prison, dipshit?
According to Breitbart News, Kilmar Abrego
oh, my goodness.
Garcia is being investigated by the DOJ after a convicted human smuggler told the FBI that he hired Abrego Garcia to smuggle illegal immigrants into the United States, according to a new report. So you guys picked the wrong victim, man. Again, the Democrats are apparently utterly incapable of saying 2 things at once.
You don't have to say 2 things at once. You can just be for due process. And you can make the point that if it can happen to him, and all they have to do is give him a hearing, but they were afraid to because the accusations are one thing. But if you can send somebody out of the country just based on accusations, then who is fucking safe, shithead? That's the whole point. If it really happened and those accusations are real and they can back them up, then a hearing would have proven that it would have been enough for an immigration judge to kick him out of the country. But they obviously didn't trust their own evidence, or they would have, because again, the video they have circulating is him driving people to a job site, that they can't prove that. And again, the idea that some dude who's busted for human smuggling isn't going to try and work a fucking deal by going, I can give you shit on Garcia. Is it true? Who gives a fuck? He's never going to get a hearing anyways. Just use it for press. Start the investigation and we'll deal with it.
Abrego Garcia should not be in the country and seems to be a quite bad person. And also, everybody is entitled to some level of due process.
But yeah, that's, again, you have to assert through due process that he is all the things you say he is. And that's the problem we have. You can besmirch his character and say he's all these awful things, or you can say that somebody who used to be in a gang, got out of the gang, became a family man, still has his tattoos because he can't afford to have them removed, has settled down even after a bad setup, but you could still arrest him for having been in a gang at one point. How about every guy who works in the inner city trying to get kids out of gangs and he's still got his tattoos? You're going to round that fucker up and go, you were part of an evil gang back in the 90s, and even though you're 60 now, we're going to throw you in jail because of your tattoos. If that's the standard, everyone is fucked. Again, if these accusations have any merit, have the fucking hearing, then bounce him. The problem isn't with the guy. The problem is with we have to, this trust me bro judicial approach that these dickheads seem okay with when, you know, for years, Alex Jones and all these assholes were telling us they're going to round all of us up and put us in camps, put us in fucking gulags, and Guantanamo's being built just so they can put right-wingers in there. Don't let them fool you. They'll tell you that's for terrorists, but why are they building an extra? Why are all these tents there, right? He'll tell you that for years. It's the Democrats, once they get in power, Obama's going to put all of us in FEMA camps. Didn't fucking happen. It's going to take all your guns. Didn't fucking happen. Meanwhile, Donald Trump, I think, why don't we take the guns and then have due process, right? And you're like...
To be fair, Republicans are also having a difficult time holding those two thoughts in place at the same time. So the Democrats are like, no, he's probably wonderful. He's a Maryland father. And then it turns out that he has been for years accused of being an MS-13 gang member.
Yeah. Do you recognize what, in due process, what side of the process are accusations? Donald Trump, for years, has been accused of being a rapist. Okay? A serial sexual assaulter. Are you cool with me calling him a rapist, now Ben Shapiro, if he's never actually been tried of the crime? Are you cool with that now? Because that's the argument here. Accusations are not convictions, nor should they be, you fucking tool.
And his wife made repeated police reports about him beating her and sought orders of protection against him.
And I've only seen one single one. If there are others, let me know.
And the DHS released...
And then it expired, and they've been fine ever since, allegedly.
A piece of body cam footage from 2022 where troopers pull over Abrego Garcia, and there were 9 people inside the car, none of whom had luggage.
Because they were going to a job site, and most people don't pack a bag to go to work.
Which looks a lot like a smuggling operation.
Looks a lot less like a smuggling operation and looks like a bunch of people going to a job site.
But, yeah, again, because everything is stupid, we can't hold two ideas at once. So...
You do realize none of us carry the burden of your idiocy, right?
Senator Lankford from Oklahoma. He has come under fire, James Lankford, for saying the obvious here, which is that Kilma Abrego Garcia should not be in the country. And also, even illegal immigrants have certain rights to due process. That does not amount to like a full jury trial. Typically, before you're deported, you have a hearing before a judge, and then we throw you out.
Congratulations, Ben. You have just articulated the Democratic viewpoint. You've just done it through James Lankford. You spent the beginning of this, like a minute of this, lying about the Democratic position about this, and then creating this sort of fiction that everybody's just brushing aside anything bad he might have done. And if they bring up the fact that he's a father, and that might be evidence that he turned his life around, or that he might have been in a gang and he stopped being in a gang, or any of that kind of stuff, that is, and that his wife wants him back, might be indicative of the actual circumstance at present versus the past. And that's meaningful. I mean, if you believe in that good old Judeo-Christian American value. So, again, Lankford's just saying what Democrats have been saying.
That's what due process amounts to. Here was...
It's literally what Van Hollen said when he went down to see him.
Lankford.
What's been confusing on this is some people see due process like as an American citizen. That's a right to a jury trial. That's all those different things. That's not true for due process for someone who's not a citizen of the United States. It's a different process. It's often just literally what people call an immigration judge is not a typical federal judge or a state judge. This is someone that's in the bureaucracy that they're tasked for DA.
By the way, am I the only person thinking like Lurch's younger brother? Like, is this what Lurch looked like before he, like when he was a kid? Sorry.
Yes, is that task on it. So they're a government employee career. That's an immigration judge. So it's a very different process for it. But yes, there's a need to be able to give an opportunity for someone to be able to make an argument before they're removed in the country.
Okay, so apparently this is too much. This very, very moderate statement that Lankford is making here, which is saying that there are actual procedures for deporting people, and you're supposed...
Which is what Democrats are saying.
Follow those procedures, and
right, which is what Democrats are saying.
We'll hold that. This was apparently too much for some people on the right who...
Oh, weird. So not Democrats. This wasn't too much for Democrats. This wasn't exactly in line with everybody's sensible view on this shit. Even if they like the guy, even if they are willing to look past his past, or even if they hate what he did and went, fuck him, anybody once a wife beater, always a wife beater, and are willing to hold that against him, they're still holding the line on due process is how shit is done. And we all know that a trial is not a hearing. Everybody apparently knows this except Donald Trump, who keeps calling it a trial.
Were angry and fuming. Cat Turd, who, again, amazing to me that a person who calls himself Cat Turd has wide, apparently, appeal and also impact inside the MAGA movement. But, you know, we live in a brand new world where all voices are considered equal.
You're right. Cat Turd is a DEI hire, according to Ben Shapiro.
Wise. He said, I'm so sick of these fake-ass weak cowards in the Republican Party running to fake news CNN to undermine the voters and the president. How is that undermining the voters and the president? Seriously.
Yeah, seriously. Seriously. I mean, it's just directly contradicting the idiocy of Trump, and the voters didn't actually want people extrajudicially removed in the case of, you know, people who weren't criminals. They were like, we'll just broom the criminals immediately, and then, if you know, we're not going to separate families, da-da-da-da. And then once Homan gets in, he's like, no, I mean, they can always self-deport if they want to stay with their children. Again, this is exactly what they voted for. Exactly what they voted for.
Langford is in favor of the deportations. He's just saying that if you actually want to accomplish this, you have to follow the process because otherwise courts will stop you, which is true. Like, I'm sorry, but the idea that Langford is some sort of traitor for saying the obvious, which is that pursue a...
All right, you guys get the point. Fucking ouch. And everybody, you know, once the election went the way it did, I think a lot of people were like, you know, how did this, you know, like, oh, they're going to run roughshod over everything. And certainly Donald Trump is trying. But even when they do, the idea that it would be, they're going to run roughshod over everything and it's going to work out the way they thought. That's the part that I think is lost on people. That Trump's tariff shit, which we all knew was going to raise costs and all this kind of stuff. But there was still this kind of weird thing that, like, he's going to destroy everything, but his followers will continue to like it, and therefore he'll never lose that support because it's a cult and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, nope. These people are on the, you know, most of them are on the receiving end of federal dollars. The blue states pay for the red states, always have. And these trains have left the fucking station. And we're seeing a couple of these trains start there. This is them as they approach that intersection where they are timing it out to strike. They're starting to honk their, you know, like blow their horn and try to wave off people and tell the guy to switch tracks on them. And it's not fucking working. Nobody's going to do it. These trains are going to hit, no matter what Trump says. Now, another example, if I may, let's see if I find this real quick, of there's so much of this shit. Where is it? Here we go. Well, here, another thing. They were promised this kind of like freedom, man. We ain't going to have these vaccine passports and they ain't going to track us and do all this stuff. Soon as Trump gets in there, we're going to have so much freedom. We don't even have to wear pants at the bus stop anymore, man. Hey, man, let's party, dude. We're going to be able to drink straight kerosene at football games because freedom first, man. Yeah, wait, we're going to get all this 5G taken down? Right, exactly. Okay, so Real ID. So Real ID is coming. Sorry, you guys have to look at Pat Gray, but Real ID deadline arrives. Do you really need to get one? Okay, to everybody watching the show, yes, you have to. You really need to get one, especially if these assholes want to pass a voter ID law. Guess who's going to be behind in getting their proper ID in the next election or in any, you know, like elections that just come up? Now, let's say a couple of Republicans step down, get busted, get sick, God forbid, or leave for whatever reasons, right? Trump is lying about creating a VA choice. Oh, yes, right. Thank you. Yeah, because they moved that thing from the VA website to hide the fact that Trump didn't do it. Trump didn't do the VA Choice Act of 2014. So they hid it so that people believe that he did it because he's a liar and he will steal valor from other presidents and he will lie to veterans with that. But anyways, if you need to get a real ID. All Democrats, just fucking do it. Just get your real ID. By the time everybody's like, they're going to track us. No. Anybody who doesn't get one isn't going to be able to vote. And we know this, and none of us have a problem with it. And all it is just a better ID that's harder to fake. Fucking yawn. It's 2025. Like, we used to have IDs that didn't even have a picture on it. There was the same flip out about it. Now they can just look at it. If you find it, they can find you by what you look at. Next thing, you're going to put your thumbprint on there. Well, they already did that. And they're going to take your thumbprint from that, and they're going to make a plastic version of it and leave it at a crime scene. Well, if it matches exactly the way it ended up on there without any variance from your fucking printed one, and there are no other fingerprints at the scene except an exact replica of the one that's on your digital file, I think you got a case. I think your lawyer can just go, yeah, Your Honor, they lifted that directly from the file. The prosecution has access to that. That's not his real thumbprint. They put that there. Cool. Reasonable doubt. Bye. So, if anything, criminals now can leave, if they only leave a thumbprint, they've got an out, because your thumbprint is used for this. If they use any other finger, you're fucked. All right, so this is Real ID deadline arrives. Do you really need to get one? My answer, yes.
Real ID becomes a requirement for travel in the U.S.
Yeah, yesterday on Overtime.
What the hell? I thought we were going to get all this freedom. Come on, man. Come on. What's this paper please bullshit? That should only apply to brown people trying to walk around someplace in Iowa talking all weird and shit. Those people got to show some fucking real ID. That ain't real. Fuck you. Right? That's what this is.
Played the Ron Paul clip from 20 years ago warning us.
Oh, thank God. Yes, Ron Paul during his Russian AstroTurf days. You don't think that asshole actually had on-the-ground support for his presidential run, do you?
Of submitting to this and how it could be, setting you up for
used against
databases.
us. Yeah.
Databases of all sorts of information.
But, I mean...
What do you mean? Your driving record, your date of birth, your citizenship, your name, whether or not you want to be an organ donor, that kind of database?
They already have it, right?
Real ID, you know what Real ID is? It's...
Yes, tell us. It's the mark of the beast is what it is.
Terms and conditions that we just got to the point where we're like, scroll, check, let's go.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's a shame, but it's the truth for all of us.
I guess what are you going to do? I mean, we don't want to do it, but Trump's in charge, so we got to do it. He's not going to stop it. He'll pause that TikTok shit, but he's not going to punt on Real ID. As a matter of fact, he has Kristi Noem doing videos for it. I mean, is it really a FEMA camp if Trump puts you in it? More like a family camp. You know what I mean? It's a MAGA camp now. If they just change the name, just put the, and I don't give a shit if there's chain link around it and fucking razor wire and we all have to sleep in tents on dirt floors, whatever. It's got MAGA camp on it. As long as it ain't a FEMA camp, those Democrats are going to throw us into.
Sensitized to all of this now. And so I don't know that anybody cares.
Do you guys?
That's the way to really sell this story, Pat. That's why you got a big lightning bolt on the fucking wall behind you. That's why you have the first letter of my last name on the wall.
You have the yellow star on your ID? I do, yeah.
What's the yellow star?
Real ID.
Yeah, if you have the Texas ID, if you've gotten it, and it's got a little yellow star in it, that's how it's a real ID. That's the symbol that comes from the state you're on. It's like when they put the fucking... when they printed the lamination directly over top of it, and it has that lenticular kind of watermark where you can only see it in certain light that tells you where it was made, so it's harder to fake.
That means that you have a real ID.
Guy just ran out of the room. Oh, shit!
Really?
Yeah, yellow star.
So if my driver...
Texas was a holdout till they weren't. Fuck off.
License with the picture on it, that doesn't qualify as real ID? Do I have to do something different?
Dude, it's after the deadline. How do you fucking not know this shit? Do you not watch all the Kristi Noem videos that are online? What do you even fap to? Come on.
All right, okay, hold on a second. Chris, So Texas was a holdout.
Was this somebody showing him his ID and you're like, you do have real ID, dipshit?
Okay. But I'm looking at my driver's license that was issued to me just last month, and it has the real ID star.
Okay.
But I'm also holding in my hand my Texas driver's license that was issued to me in 2019 that also has the gold star in the upper corner.
Well, the gold star has been a thing for the longest time. That meant that the DMV saw a birth certificate, a social security card, like other forms of ID, made sure that that is you. Now they're just enforcing that if you don't have that yellow star, it's a fake, not a fake ID, but it's not being verified that that is who you are.
So you might not be able to fly.
You will
for
not
instance.
be able to fly.
Now, as we learned on yesterday's overtime, when Hillary Kennedy, who has put off renewing her driver's license and is about to fly somewhere, we did look up if can you fly with an expired driver's license, and apparently, and it seemed kind of loose there, but the TSA, I guess, gives you about a year leeway. So if you show up with your expired driver's license and expect to fly, they give you about a year grace period. Now, your cop out here on 114 isn't gonna give you that grace period.
You know why that is? Anybody? Dipshit? Because you're not the fucking pilot. Because your ID is still your ID, is still you, but its function as a driver's license is what expires. Not its function as an ID. That's still true. Still got your thumbprint in it. You can still scan it when you go through TSA because you're not the fucking pilot. You're not operating a motor vehicle. The expiration about it and why they allow you some time to get it, you can still use it as an ID in a lot of things, even after it's expired for a period of time until you update it, is because you could move. Maybe you don't drive. Maybe you haven't settled in someplace. You don't have, a regular ID, but you only have your driver's license and you only ever got one. So you can still use it for a year to fly because also they're punting in this period of time, but also you're not operating a motor vehicle. If you get pulled over, you're operating a motor vehicle with an expired license. Fuck, these guys are dumb.
No.
But
no, they're not.
Or you just fly with your passport and you don't have to worry about the real ID stuff.
Or fly with your passport.
Which is a form of real ID and has an RFID chip in it. That's why all modern sleeves that you put your passport in protect the RFID on it. Most people buy one that protects it from somebody grabbing your RFID information by being close to it. They keep it in a little wallet.
Yep, that does work.
Yes.
That's real ID.
And those are good. Easy to just put in your back pocket and get on with your day.
Yeah, you just put it in your back pocket. Yeah,
sure.
You guys don't carry your passport with y'all?
Every minute of every day.
Okay.
Let's see it.
I have it right now. I just don't want to show it on the camera.
Yeah, it has your personal information.
I'm pretty sure that when you used to get a passport, they would say, "Don't smile," and you would look at the camera all serious like this. Well, now I think they're letting you smile.
You can smirk.
You can smirk, but you can't smile.
Smirk.
So okay, so we've gone from no grin at all. To smirk, but we're not giving you the full smile.
No, you can't have the full smile because facial recognition. Their excuse is facial recognition.
Yeah, they don't need teeth to do it, and if teeth are part of that, it makes it harder because you can change your teeth really easily.
Doesn't recognize your face when you're smiling.
Well, you know how you fool it.
I don't believe that.
You know how you fool it.
I don't believe that.
Then everywhere you walk internationally,
just smile.
You're just smiling cheek to cheek.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Yeah, but at least the cameras won't pick you up.
Come on.
Are you trying to outsmart the man or not?
Wow,
I'm giving you tips.
Because it's considered a bone structure change. So if you put in dentures or cover your teeth or whatever, it will even if it recognizes your face, it will see teeth, and if it has a picture of reference with teeth, it will be thrown off by it. It can't guarantee that that's what the teeth look like. So if you just do it without the teeth, it doesn't matter what your fucking teeth looks like when it sees your face. It can judge based on the other structure. It will not use that as part of its judgment. So if you get a tooth knocked out, it's like, oh, that guy in the picture doesn't have his tooth knocked out. He must be somebody else because it's a structural change in your face.
Giving you life tips.
If facial recognition is that stupid, then we might.
It's not that stupid. It's just you don't give it a reference with all your teeth exactly as they are. If you just do it plain, it doesn't matter if you're smiling. If you get a picture taken with your teeth showing and then you get your teeth knocked out or you get veneers or you change something or whatever, or you just wear fake teeth or you're wearing fucking vampire teeth or some shit, it will see those and go, nope. and it's harder to catch you. That's it. It's like drawing vertical and horizontal lines on your face and walking around. It jags it around because it can't grasp on where you are if there's shadows in that way. That's why there's like, you'll see this increasingly in groups because they'll be wearing masks. It doesn't fucking help you. They can still grab based on the shape of your cheekbones and your eyes, whatever they can see. The facial recognition is way good at that. But if you do cascading drawing lines on you that throw off the shadows, it's hard for it to make you out.
Well, we might as well just give up and close up shop right
Hold on.
now.
Don't challenge the robots, bro. Don't challenge AI. Clip 21 will show you what happened when you turn your back on them.
Okay.
Look at this. This is in China. When
Okay, this is the footage that everybody's like showing right now.
programming this robot, and he decides he's going to break loose.
Yeah,
Come
this is
here.
the one we were talking about yesterday. Look at that. So they actually have footage of it.
Mm-hmm.
That is insane.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
It just started flailing on its own, they say.
I'm sure it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's because you were smiling. It was like, what is that?
Yeah.
Right.
They didn't like that.
All right, so why this is tied to real ID, I think, is just I guess this is what part of what I would call in the Blaze part of the paranoia industrial complex. Real quick, I know I'm running out of time, and I've got radio tomorrow, so I'm gonna try and stick to my regular time. I want to show you something. So there's a lot of talk about John Fetterman and the state that he's in right now, and I would argue if there's something going on with Fetterman, it is largely biological, either the result of his strokes or whatever's happening, and he'll have like people who go through that, good days and bad days. I refuse to get angry with the guy for his behavior. I'm going to because that feels like ableism to me. I'm just going to say outright, okay? I'm about to sneeze, so hold on. Beg your pardon. Thank you. But here's John Fetterman asking a question of Sam Altman. Now, this is Sam Altman, and for those of you who don't know, he's the head of OpenAI, who was fired by the people at OpenAI for not being safe enough about it, and then was rehired when the kind of company's ability to get capital went down, because he really is sort of the brains amongst these folks. Unlike Elon Musk, Altman actually does work on the shit he's talking about, which is why he is sort of brutal when he's making fun of Elon Musk. I enjoy watching him, in the rare instances where he speaks freely, because he worked with Musk in the opening days of OpenAI, and Musk is basically this dude who's just got money from money and knows nothing about the industries that he's involved in. He knows enough to bullshit at cocktail parties, and that's basically it. But anyways, Fetterman asks Sam Altman about the singularity during this hearing on AI. And that, for those of you who don't know, the singularity is a framework largely pushed by Ray Kurzweil, the inventor of the Kurzweil K2000, the sampler that basically gave us hip hop, and a lot of sort of modern the early European invasion from Pet Shop Boys and Duran Duran and all that kind of stuff. The K2000 made that possible. That's where you got all your synth music from the early 80s. And he's been, that's just one of the many things he's done. But he's one of these longevity dudes. He's looking forward. He wants, this idea that you could live to be 1,000 years old. And they've been working on this. I've done stand-up for their organization that has worked on this a couple of, back when they were doing regular things. After COVID, they stopped doing their regular meeting for everybody's sake. They're like, oh, diseases that you can catch. All right, that would kind of throw a monkey wrench in our plan. So until we found a complete cure for these things, let's just do this by Zoom, right? So, but I would do jokes based on what the technology I would see there, and kind of write a show based on what I saw the future being, and jokes largely that only they would get because we all just watched the same seminars and the same talks. So, anyways, Altman is the singularity is when humans and computers will join and never disconnect. So either we'll all have a chip in our brain, or we'll all be slightly cyborgs, or our iPhone will become a iPhone. You just somebody will scoop out your real eyeball and put another one in, and it'll have your own proprietary trained AI on your own life experience, so you can never forget anything if you don't want to, or you can forget everything you don't like to hear about anymore, all that kind of shit. But this idea that we will join with computers and almost never unjoin. And I would argue that with everybody carrying their phone around, there's a big section of the populace that has already done this. It's just a clunky version of it, okay? So, but the singularity is getting closer in concept, because once AI hits AGI or ASI, which is artificial general intelligence, which means AI can do in a digital form any job that a human can do in general, or artificial superintelligence, which means it can do every job, from accounting to physics to answering phones or whatever, when it can do all that equally as well as a person who just does that job, that's the ASI. They fuck around with the terms, but that's basically what you need to know. That's the difference between AGI and ASI. I would argue that when they say AGI, that's really what most people think of when we think of AI. And that means we're not there. We don't even have AI yet until we have what they call AGI. The nerd alert. Okay. But anyways, so Fetterman's asking, like, when might this happen? And this is an important question to ask. So kudos to Fetterman for asking it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hi, hello. Mr. Smith, I'm a big supporter of energy. For me, energy security is national security. And of course, renewables about that, but of course other things as well too, fossil. But also that also includes nuclear. Of course, nuclear is important. And now then there's that kind of energy transition. My focus is also that I want to make sure that ratepayers in Pennsylvania really aren't hit too hard throughout all of this. Now, the Washington Post reported that increasing electricity demand for the data centers is going to raise up residential power bills, perhaps as much by 20%. Now, to me, that's really a concern for me and certainly for Pennsylvania families. Now, the data center, has important jobs during construction and doing those things, and that's a great thing, of course. But they're not, I guess, long term. But the rate, those rates might last longer for that. And now I've been tracking the plan to reopen TMI. I mean, my own personal story is I had to grab my hamster and evacuate, during the meltdown in 1979. You might assume that I was anti-nuclear, and that is not. I actually am very supportive of nuclear.
TMI is 3 Mile Island, by the way, not too much information. And he would have been a kid, and that's why he would have grabbed his hamster and split.
Because that's an important part of the stack. If you really want to have and address climate change, you can't turn your back on nuclear, in my opinion. But I know that's the power of Microsoft's data center. So now, and I really appreciate that, but if I'm saying now, if we're able to commit that the power purchase agreement, it's not going to raise electricity for Pennsylvania families.
No, I think you raise a critical point. We have two principles that we follow when we're constructing these data centers. Number one, we will invest to bring onto the grid an amount of electricity that equals the amount of electricity that we will use, so that we're not tapping a constricted supply. Number two, we will manage all of this in a way that ensures that our activity does not raise the price of electricity to the community. And so I was describing earlier.
Which would, by the way, one of the things that Trump is like, we're going to let him build a coal plant next to the thing, which is just horseshit. None of these fuckers in these high-tech firms want to live next to a fucking coal plant or work there fucking 10 hours a day, as this fucking coal plant chugs away next door. They all want micronuclear. That's where they want to start. They want secondarily, they want renewables for any battery storage. You're going to see solar panels across the entire top of these buildings. You're going to see geothermal taps if they're in fucking Montana and Wyoming and the like. And you're going to see maybe some wind turbines if they're in states where there's enough wind to carry it, where it's regular enough where that will add to how much they're doing. But ultimately what these guys are going to be building and what they're going to want to do is micronuclear, which is effectively the same nuclear reactor you would find in a nuclear submarine next to a building on a smaller scale, And these are the kind that don't have the similar meltdown issues that a giant one that is meant to power an entire city or a state, like the giant nuclear facilities that we've seen in the past.
If there's improvements that need to be made to the grid, as there often are, we'll go to the Utility Commission. We will propose a change in the rate that we are charged so that we can pay for that improvement. I just think it's a fact of life, because I think you highlight something critical. There's a lot of jobs when the construction takes place. There are jobs afterwards, but they are not as many. One will wear out the welcome quickly if we tax, in effect, the neighborhood by asking.
And that's what I've been saying about, by the way, the factories that Trump is talking about. These will be an energy tax on the neighborhood, because if you have a giant factory in town that makes cars or robots or fucking TV sets or whatever the shit they're going to be building in these things, if they're going to move, they're going to reshore stuff, that's fine. But these are going to be giant vending machines. And if there are no jobs, but they just raise your electric rates because they're running down the street chugging 24/7, and you're paying more for your electricity because the thing exists, but nobody in your neighborhood is getting, a better life because they have a job there, or if they are, it's 12 fucking people. Nobody's going to want that.
Everyone to pay more for their electricity because we have arrived.
Yikes, CSL, annoying.
Get it. We know we have to be a good and responsible member of the neighborhood.
Thank you. Well, now, one of the perks of being a senator is that, for me anyway, I get an opportunity to meet people that have led much more impressive kinds of jobs or careers that I've led. And now, Mr. Altman, now this is I'm going to count this as a highlight recently. Like, I know the work that you've done, and you're really one of the people that are moving AI. And now it's an opportunity. I was excited to meet you. And now people ask me, it's like, if you're going to talk about AI, and now I get to ask you, like the expert, some people are worried about AI or whatever. And I'm like, what about the singularity? So, the people like that, if you would address that, please.
Thank you, Senator, for the kind words and for normalizing hoodies in more spaces. I'd love to see that. I am...
By the way, that's true. Like OpenAI, it's like a Google environment. I think he's one of the few that does wear a suit on occasion.
I am incredibly excited about the rate of progress, but I also am cautious and I would say, I don't know, I feel small next to it or something. I think this is beyond something that we all fully yet understand where it's going to go. This is, I believe, among the biggest, maybe it'll turn out to be the biggest technological revolutions humanity will have ever produced. And I feel privileged to be here. I feel curious and interested in what's going to happen. But I do think things are going to change quite substantially. I think humans have a wonderful ability to adapt, and things that seem amazing will become the new normal very quickly. We will figure out how to use these tools to just do things we could never do before. And I think it will be quite extraordinary. But these are going to be tools that are capable of things that we can't quite wrap our heads around. And some people call that, as these tools start helping us to create future iterations, some people call that singularity, some people call that the takeoff, whatever it is, it feels like a sort of new era of human history. And I think it's tremendously exciting that we get to live through that and we can make it a wonderful thing. But we've got to approach it with humility and some caution.
Yeah, no, I just, for me, it's been, I get a chance to ask questions to a lot of Edisons, as well, too. Like the kinds of things that you're all collectively involved are going to transform our society, and people will look back 50, 60 years ago and see what's happened. So for me, over to the chairman. Thank you.
I yield back is the phrase you were looking for. And again, obviously there's a guy, John Fetterman, who I met with his wife in Pennsylvania years ago before he ran for Senate. And both of them were just fucking lovely. Fetterman is very much a big, imposing, lurch-like fellow in general. He looks dangerous. He looks like a bouncer at a fucking vampire club when when you meet him. And his wife is lovely, but she looks like she runs a coven, and I mean that in the best way. And so between the two of them, I had a great conversation with them, and they do both give a shit. In this particular case, whatever's up with him because of what he's been through physically, and again, being a giant dude like that, being relatively out of shape for a long time, I don't know what his diet's like, but it's not surprising that, if he's had a stroke related to that stuff, it's going to have impact. The fact that he's even up and walking around is a miracle in and of itself. But when he gets down to it, and he's as hard as it is for him to get those words out, the questions he asked were valuable. More valuable, I would argue, than most of the questions that were asked in that hearing. Yeah. So, and it's a crucial aspect of this, I think, and it was nice that, Altman, all joke aside about the hoodie and the normalization of it, is talking about it. And this brings to the point what I was saying earlier about everyone is dumb about AI. They're not stupid. They're dumb. Now, there's an argument that Elon Musk is stupid because he knows enough to know that he's lying or wrong, which means when he does a lot of stuff, he's being stupid. What he's doing with Grok is stupid. But insofar as the impact, the long-term impact, or even the short-term impact, the time scale, no one knows. And so everyone is ignorant, therefore dumb about it. And so planning for it becomes very, very difficult. Not impossible, but you can plan for stages that you can see coming up. I can see the next step in front of me, but it's very much like a highway when you're driving in in snow or fog or whatever, and your lamp lights, the road extends, the direction you're going, but you don't necessarily, you're unfamiliar with the road, and you don't know if it curves quickly anywhere, but you can only really see to the edge of your headlights, right? You can only see to that part. And unless you're really fucking white knuckling it, you might not turn in time when there's a cliff ahead. And that's what he's talking about with the proceeding with humility and caution. And the reality of this is because only an idiot would drive with one hand on the wheel, pedal to the metal, I know what this road's it's basically a straightaway. I don't know, and then Thelma and Louise. So that proceeding with caution and when that might actually happen, the real answer is nobody knows. And it might even be worse than nobody knows, or better, depending on your opinion, is that by the time we realize when it might happen, it will have already happened in most areas. We will have already reached a benchmark that oh shit, we're not going back from this, which is really what the singularity is. That change, when you go, oh wow, everybody is adapting to this kind of permanently. We're expecting this, whether it's, we're using AI to genetically modify people's children before they're born to guarantee that they don't have birth defects, which I think would be, the ethical argument about that is really hard to make, against it. But at the same time, people, there will be people who insist that that's playing God, in the same way that people who thought vaccines or antibiotics were playing God, God chooses who he wants sick and to die, and if you can't weather it, you're not supposed to be around, and you're either flying in the face of God's plan, or you're avoiding evolution because you're letting the weak, procreate, right? That's the Maoist, Stalinist, atheist version of the God knows who should live and who should die. It's the same people making the same stupid argument from two different perspectives, but it's the same lack of caring for humanity. So there's going to be a big pushback on this shit. But those people, I guess, ultimately will vanish from the earth. And the other thing, it's going to increase lifespan. It's going to solve most problems. You're definitely going to see a situation where it helps create either synthetic organs to replace ones that break down at first, and then you're going to see your first synthetic kidneys, certain synthetic hearts that are more made out of biomatter, where you don't have to, it's not a machine that has a battery that operates, but it doesn't have to, you don't need anti-rejection drugs to do it. That's going to be probably the next big turn. So you won't have to be an organ donor because they'll just use your own cells to print a kidney, that kind of stuff. Once that starts happening with some level of regularity, life as we know it, that will be a crest point where life as we know it, nobody would ever go back to going, I don't want to fucking, I don't think my kid needs a kidney. I know he's got kidney failure, renal failure, but we're gonna trust in God and see if it comes back. What? You can grow him a brand new kidney with proper cells and it'll never get sick again? Fucking sign me up. I don't want my kid to die. Once you reach that point, no one has any logical, moral, or legal reason to go backwards. And that, I would argue, is the singularity. And we will reach that point before we realize we have achieved, quote unquote, the singularity. So, and I did bring up the kidney, but the thing isn't working right now. It's making me mad. I think. Hold on. Let's see if we can, who knows? God. Dear God. Help!
The kidney has a very special place in the heart. The kidney has a very special place in the heart. The kidney has a very special place in the heart.
Dear God. Whew. That was scary. Whew. I'm all right. I think we're okay. All right. One last thing before I go. Hold on. Why did this move over here? Why does this move to theater mode all of a sudden like a dickhead? Man, hold on. Theater mode. Okay, there we go. Stretch out, you stupid. This might be, where we go? Hold on. Okay, yeah. Nah. I'm already over time. I want to end on this just because while we're talking about like the idiocy of the right-wing science machine, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the morons version of Revelations, the end times as told to you by a former skateboarder and now White House correspondent, Dim Drool. Pole shift detected. 3D models predict outcome of cataclysm. Outcome of cataclysm? 3D models predict the outcome of cataclysm? Wouldn't cataclysm be the outcome and the outcome of a cataclysm be the other stuff that happens that, I don't know, maybe there's 3D models of people running around going, Jesus Christ! Let's find out, shall we?
Earth's magnetic pole is on the move.
This goes out to all our sailors and our ships at sea.
And scientists just updated its position.
Doggy style? I'm going with doggy style. I think most of them, they've been with missionary for too long and they're just they want to, because spooning to fork is something that, people with deep and bitingly loving relationships do.
Oh, you mean in January, the media, corporate press, scientists said the magnetic poles are shifting. Now, that doesn't mean there's going to be a cataclysm, but there are many theorists who are predicting that we are going to see a major pole shift. This will cause... planet to spin, to effectively move. The United
It does move. I don't know if you know this. It already moves a lot.
States becomes the southern hemisphere, and it gets real cold real quick. And then we can see that South America, Greenland, and a bunch of other places end up on the equator, including Antarctica. It's a really interesting 3D model that was just put out the other day. Actually, it may be older than that, but it was posted the other day as well. And with these power outages that hit in Europe and Puerto Rico, speculation and theories are that the Earth's magnetosphere is weakening, and we may be looking at a cataclysmic event.
Well, obviously, God hates Donald Trump and wants this to happen on his watch. Or MAGA need a real leader at times like this. Somebody who will, I don't know, shit his pants and run for the hills.
Recently, I interviewed Ben Davidson about this. He's the space weather guy on X.
Absolutely, the space weather guy.
Smart fellow. And he believes that we are looking at a cataclysmic pole shift, and it's going to, the weakening of the magnetosphere is going to fry our electronics, send us back to the Stone Age. How long?
Well, I mean, the Iron Age. Right? I mean, we all understand how blacksmithing works in theory. There are books on it. I don't know if you know that. I don't know, but maybe go pick up a copy of Blacksmithing for Dummies, obviously in paperback.
Survive after that. Perhaps. I don't know.
Well, yeah, but don't let that stop you from scaring the living shit out of your viewers and then moving on to the next thing. I don't know. I think most of his viewers would take the end of the world as a sweet relief.
What I can say is he mentioned a future map of the United States. I don't know that I believe it. Apparently, it was a psychic who envisioned this.
Oh, okay. Well, then why didn't you say so from the beginning? So it's definitely going to happen. Nailed it.
But there are some interesting ideas to bounce around, should this be the case.
Are they from the same psychic, or did you read these on the back of Highlights for Kids?
And I will admit, I am fascinated by this topic. I don't
Well, that makes the one of you.
know if any of it's true, but it is interesting. And sometimes we chase after stories like this because it's fun. It's fun to imagine.
It is fun to imagine the end of the world where everyone gets shoved back into the Stone Age and people are eating each other's fucking faces and it's like Walking Dead and stuff like that. Wouldn't that be fun? It sounds so fun, especially if you have a newborn. Yeah, anybody with a newborn probably thinks this is really fun territory. You know, I mean, once your kid's walking, it gets less exciting because little fucker, if he can't keep up, God didn't want him to live.
I mean, it's not fun to imagine it actually happening, to be honest, but maybe. Now,
but maybe.
I'm going to say this. I don't know that any of this I believe, right? Earth's magnetic pole is on the move. Scientists update its position. We've got this from Smithsonian. It's from January. Earth's magnetic...
Oh, so it was when Biden was running things, so it's probably a lie. Probably they had some black person in charge or a woman or something or somebody in a wheelchair, some DEI hire. So you know how they get, right? They'll post anything.
Pole is shifting towards Siberia and raising questions about unusual movement. Okay, that's scary.
Yeah, especially if you live in Siberia where they were getting that tangential shitty Arctic weather and then you're going to get the full thing. Good luck, Russia. Guess what? That means Moscow becomes the new Siberia.
They say the magnetic North Pole is distinct from the geographic North Pole, a fixed point where the Earth's axis meets its surface. Instead, magnetic north is the changing location where the planet's magnetic field lines converge,
Coverage, converge, whatever.
This field is generated by the churning of the planet's outer core, a layer of molten iron and nickel that begins roughly 1,800 miles beneath Earth's surface.
Yeah. Just like God intended 6,000 years ago. Okay?
Fluid dynamics of the core change. The magnetic pole shifts over time in a process known as geodynamo. Now something unusual seems to be.
Which is a really shitty car. I mean, first of all, there's no legroom.
The current behavior of magnetic north is something that we've never observed before. Yikes.
Well, maybe because we've only been observing it for a short period of time in terms of human history or history at all.
Down. For industries reliant on magnetic fields, such as aviation, shipping, and navigation, this movement is no small matter. GPS systems, planes, military equipment track the magnetic field and rely on accurate models. You guys ready for the hammer drop? What if?
Yeah, here it comes. What if? Here it comes. Ba-boom.
The disasters that we're seeing in aviation are due to a magnetic pole shift. Not.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, the helicopters from the Pentagon flew in front of airplanes not because they ignored signals that they absolutely heard and responded to, and fish stinks from the head. It's not because Sean Duffy's a fuckhead. It's because obviously it's happening all over the world, except it ain't. You mean, I'm sorry. So the magnetic pole shift is why, as soon as Donald Trump took over and put Sean Duffy in charge, that we started having problems with our airline system. That's why.
Idea I came up with. Other people have speculated this. How did the plane come in hot in Canada and then belly flop? Instruments were reading improperly, maybe? How did a helicopter crash into that plane? Instruments, once again, reading improperly?
No, they knew where they were. They weren't at like 32,000 fucking feet. They could see the runway. They could see the plane. They said they saw it. It was human error, bad judgment. I mean, who knows? Our judgment could be affected by the magnetic poles shift, and maybe people are getting stupider, and that's why Donald Trump got elected.
Nuts. I mean, they said that lady was told to turn left and descend, and she didn't do it. Take a look at this.
That lady? No. The woman that was on the helicopter was not the primary pilot.
Open-minded Approach posted this on X. This is the worst case scenario of the geophysical event. The outer part of the Earth, the
Surf Giza? That's cool.
The mantle suddenly shift by 104 degrees, relocating the north and south poles while the planet continues spinning in the same direction as before. Let me see if he's got a better video of this right here. Let's play this video. So here's the Earth, and
well, if you believe it's round,
you're going to see. Let me pause it actually.
Yeah, pause the Earth, and then what happens? We all fly off into space. Thanks, dummy.
You can see the equator. North America up here, South America, you got it all.
Yes, exactly where God intended it.
Now here's what gets interesting.
We'll be the judge of that.
The planet spins. We can see Indonesia, see Africa.
Diddly 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 diddly. I hear sounds echoing tonight. Hurry, boy, she's waiting there for you.
South America, everything seems normal.
It does seem normal. You're right.
This is exothermic core mantle decoupling.
Wait a minute. What happened to Atlantis? He was just there. Oh, sorry. Once you've been alive for hundreds of thousands of years, you forget that normal humans don't live like that.
Cycle state 1. Now check it out. You can see the shift starting to occur. The planet is now rotating.
That's right.
Off its axis.
Yeah, that's where you forgot the part where God said 8 ball, corner pocket, no spin.
And what happens? Look at where the equator is now. You've got Russia. You've got is that Australia? Oh no, I'm sorry, that's Asia. Yeah, that's Russia. I was right. And you've got Asia and Australia now at the equator. Look at this, Antarctica. Now at the...
It's going to be the hottest travel place. You just wait till Ted Cruz starts running to Antarctica for a party.
Later. Look at Chile.
It might get tropical and hot down there once it's that close to the equator.
Rotate.
It'll rotate so far it won't actually change the weather at all.
This is incredible. If this were to actually happen, take a look at this. So the equator, this is really funny. For those in South America, they probably aren't going to notice a whole lot in like Venezuela and Colombia and stuff, because all that's happening now is the sun is going to move. It's going to appear to go from south to north, which is crazy. Take a look at North America. It becomes very cold very quickly for a lot of people.
No, it doesn't.
the West Coast of the United States, if this is true, is going to become like the South Pole. And for those of us
look, you thought Big Bear had good skiing before.
That are in Florida is going to get the weather patterns of Chicago. It's going to kill all of these. Fauna and flora. Look at this. Now, I don't know that it's true. Just an interesting video.
It is. That's all it is. It's an interesting video, Look, and it's a great thing to play if you can't explain to your viewers why the Epstein files haven't come out and why nobody's going to jail for fraud if DOJ has discovered all this fraud and looking at their waste and abuse and all that kind of stuff. And there's no referrals. It's just weird. And why the biggest fentanyl bust happens after the border was closed. And you're like, I'm starting to think that most of the fentanyl that gets in the country is actually coming in through shipping containers and in the trunks of cars. It's weird. It's like, it would be weird if I had to talk about that shit. So better I just make up some sort of end of the world. I'll just play a video from a psychic asshole on my show. Anything to avoid talking about that stuff until they invite me to the White House again to shove your tongue right up Trump's tuchus, Tim. Fucking hell. He needs to stop playing amateur meteorologist. It's just meteorologists in general. He's never going to get better. In the year 2525, that won't have happened yet? Yes, exactly. As the world churns. The hand of God cometh soon. Yes, the end is really fucking nigh. So, all right, I'll let you guys go. I got to go do radio prep for tomorrow. So it's total filler. The point of watching that at all, beyond the absurdity and hilarity of watching these absolute assholes flail for something to talk about now that they're in Trump suck-up land, is the fact that they're really doing these kind of stories, even the story about Real ID and all that kind of stuff. They run aground with, how do we talk about what's going on without ever going anywhere near the increasing number of areas where Trump is shitting the bed? How do you roll around in bed with him the way they are without getting shit on you? That is exactly what they're trying to do. So anytime you see one of these stories, it's a bit of good news, I gotta say, because it proves that they are afraid to talk about these issues. That Crowder video we started off with is indicative of the reality of the conversations that are happening behind the scenes everywhere. But just, he's got fewer viewers, so he can afford, I suppose, to pick fights. Whereas Ben Shapiro at the Daily Wire, they got 7 million subscribers. They can't afford to see their shit cut in half. He's already boiled down to the least of it. Is there, okay, maybe it's this shit still in here. Hold on. Because I pulled this thing down. Did it? No? Yeah. So, by the way, I know I'm supposed to go, but I want to show you this real quick. This is Jimmy Dore's show. They're destroying the files. This is James Comer talking about the fact that they, whoever the fuck they is, Kash Patel's FBI, I would suppose, Congressman drops bombshell about Epstein files. And that's James Comer.
Was the government using Epstein and the videos to blackmail the most influential people around the world?
Yes.
If that.
Yes. He's starting to do the tag video. He's starting to do the throw a piece at the beginning. Holy shit. Hold on 1 second. Hey, CSL, we'll take care of it, my friend. We'll take care of it. We don't need to watch this. It's just going to be more people going, duh, motherfucker. Senator Ron Johnson says federal agents are destroying files involving Jeffrey Epstein and 9/11. Well, I guess if Russia tells you to say that shit, you're going to say it. Or, I don't know, maybe it's the president of the United States who's behind it. Couldn't possibly be. It's not that, Jimmy was saying it's just a coin flip between Trump and Harris. It's a fucking difference. Eat shit, Palestinians. It's just, who cares if, 40,000 of you die, 1 million of you die, and the rest of them are displaced? Who cares about the difference? One would have stopped it. The other one can't wait to get rid of you. What's the difference? It's a coin flip. At least with Trump, you get mass deportations and babies with cancer being deported and somebody who was buddies with Epstein in charge of the Epstein investigation. I mean, there's all these perks with the slightly greater of two evils, according to Jimmy Dore. I love you guys. Believe me, if I start that shit, we will be here all goddamn night, and you guys know I would be. Shit. So this is, hold on. Let me try to do this. All right. Well, this is, I'm seeing the monitor on this one. There's the wavelength thing. This is the thing. I want to see if something works. Hold on. Let's go back to this business. Okay, hold on. I couldn't tell if you guys didn't hear that, so hold on. Let's see. I'm going to do this and then pause it and then go advanced audio properties, and then I go to here, and where's this guy? There we go. Monitor now. We'll just do this. Okay. Now we'll see if it works. Hold on. This should work now.
Here I am like an idiot.
There you go. Did that work? Fucking hell. Anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I gotta go figure out like how to make the kidney work the way I spent all that time working on it. Now it's just being a dick. I don't know why. I don't even know why I bring up the kidney anymore. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yikes. Help!
You are watching Sports Megaworldwide. You got your arm for the ride. Every day has you by your side. So please, would you like to subscribe? Beware of the kidney.
Hit the like, share the show.